let's go ahead and get into it. So before I even say anything about the market, let's just kind of get some general thoughts out the way. So generally, around this time of the year, starting like literally, I'm not kidding you, you've heard me say this before, December 23rd to like January 2nd ish is usually where the market slows down more often than not, right? If you're using 2017 as a proxy, then that's not the case. But a lot of the times the market kind of just slows down. It takes a deep breath. It just kind of consolidates, chops, doesn't really do too much of anything. So if there were ever a good time to, reset, take a break, go tend to other aspects of life, this is a good time to do so. So for that reason, also because literally Wednesday it will be Christmas. There won't be a stream on Wednesday, so hopefully that was already obvious before me saying that. And I don't know what the calendar looks like, but if New Year's falls on one of our live stream days, then there won't be a stream that day either. So we'll see. Obviously, we'll kind of just chill until something more miraculous happens or more spontaneous happens, and then from there we'll be on top of things. So we'll always stay on top of things. I didn't put out a daily market update today. I will though. But yeah. So for BTC price action, we last discussed the breakdown below 4-hour 200 moving averages. And so if this is a bearish retest and it looks like a bearish retest and it smells like a bearish retest, I'm going to call it a bearish retest. I can't call this a reclaim. I can't say, oh my God, we're still bullish. Right? I can't do those things because the same thing that made me want to make those arguments is no longer true. Right? When I was making those arguments for 3 months on end, and here, right, I understand, oh, but Mercury, we lost the 4-hour 200s for all of 2 seconds, right? I understand that, but we contextualized it and said, hey, it's not really just the 4-hour 200s, it's this inflection point, right? So I'm not going to be so particular about it, so precise. I'm going to be, I'm going to give it a little bit more of breathing room because I'm looking for a higher low on something like a weekly time frame here, actually. So 60K support, 200 daily moving averages, somewhere in that region as well. That's why we kind of write it off in hindsight to say, oh, the 4-hour 200s, they didn't need to act as beautiful Pico bottom support, right? So we had that inflection point. With that in mind, 4-hour 200s have been pretty beautiful. This is the only time in 3 months where I can even scratch my head to start thinking, is this a breakdown? Right? And by my definition, by my discretion, it is. So this is not new information. Oh, Mercury, I wish you would have told me this, before we sold off, right? No, as price was rallying into this region again, we said, hey, this looks like a bearish retest. This looks like, we were trending and now we're not. So locally, actually, we have 3-hour 200s. So if you really don't understand the idea, or if you just want a different way of getting that general portrayal across, you could use 3-hour 200s. That gets the idea across. You did see me post this in something like Twitter, just to help kind of get our brains and understanding as to what's happening, right? But really, the honest truth is I'm not straying away from 4-hour 200s because they are still the thing that has been relevant for the past 3 months. So I'm going to prioritize though, and that's just my discretion kicking in, right? You can agree, you can disagree, it doesn't really matter. I don't care too much. It's not going to change your analysis, right? It's not going to be night and day analysis based off of whether you're using 3 or 4. So with that said, now the question is, where does Bitcoin go, right? Because usually the way that we think about this is we have a snowball and we lose a local trend, and that allows us to pull back into a higher time frame trend, right? So on the way down, actually, we were saying 15-minute 200s. So 15-minute 200s breaking down. We talked about this when they were right here. So we said, this local trend, that probably allows for a deeper pullback into our high time frame inflection point, where we have 4-hour 200s, previous range highs, and the most ideal place to lock in a higher low on our daily market structure. Well, we didn't do any of that, right? So we broke down below the 4-hour 200s, we deviated back inside of this little local range, and we put in a lower low on our daily market structure, at least the way that I interpret it, right? So in my humble opinion, this was our higher low that we needed to hold. So if we were ever going to find a higher low, this was the place to do it at. So as soon as we start to break down below that region, I throw in the towel. We're probably not going to find a higher low somewhere higher than here, right? Because the next support level is all the way down here at like 91K. So there's not really much stopping us from just getting to that support level, right? So that was my thesis. That was the analysis. That was the way that I wanted to adapt to that price action. And ever since then, we haven't reclaimed that local trend. We've only just continued adding on to that snowball, right? We broke down below 4-hour 200s. We fell back inside of the range, and we broke that daily market structure. So we're reinforcing the bearish argument for the first time in 3 months, right? I understand that when we talk about this, your fear is, but what if it's wrong, right? Oh, what if it's wrong? What if we V-reverse? What if we go back into price discovery? What if this is the low? What if, right? Of course that's going to be our fear, but we want to write off that fear. We don't want to succumb to it, because if that fear comes into fruition, if that fear becomes reality and the bottom is in and you're going to get sidelined and we're going to run it back turbo without you, and the same environment that we just came out of the past 3 months is going to be the same environment that we experience for the next 3 months, right? If that's the case, then we have to reclaim local trends, right? I mean, seriously, man, you're not even above 15-minute 200 moving averages. Why are we freaking out? You can't even get above a stupid green and blue line on the 15-minute chart, right? And after that, we would have to reclaim 4-hour 200s. And as we're doing that, we'd have to break out of the range highs once again. And as we're doing that, we'd have to put in a higher high in the daily, right? So there's a million triggers. There's a million things that price has to do in order for our greatest fear to become reality. And all of a sudden, now it's looking like that was the bottom. We should have been bidding. We're going to be sidelined. Oh my God, we're going to run it back, right? And then also, let's just simply talk about the fact that if we run back the same environment that we've just came out of the past 3 months, right? Imagine freaking out that, oh my God, I'm going to miss out. Mercury's talking about a higher low in the weekly and how this might go into price discovery. I'm going to miss out. I'm going to miss out. I'm going to miss out. No, you're not. You're not going to miss out. There's going to be a million more opportunities, and somewhere around here, we're left scratching our heads saying, oh my gosh, all these setups, all these things that are breaking out, all these things that look so incredibly good. Wow, Ondo's trending along hourly 200s. That's how fucking strong it is. I've been sidelined on Ondo for the rest of forever, right? Or what feels like forever. So you're going to have that environment again. That's more likely going to be the thing that we experience if all of a sudden price says, oh, hey, screw you. But that was the bottom, by the way. Right? And we're like, oh, okay, that's a higher high and that's a higher low. That's a reclaim of 4-hour 200s. That's a breakout above our range. We say, oh, if it looks like a breakout, smells like a breakout, trades like a breakout, let's just call it a breakout. So we probably go for yet another higher high across the board, because obviously we know that even if this time frame is downtrending, we still understand that this time frame is uptrending, right? And so is this one. So we apply context. Oh, wait a minute. We have the wind to our backs again on all time frames. Oh, why not just run it back turbo at that point? You don't have the courage, the capital to then go and play into that mindset if you're sitting here freaking out. Oh, what if that is the bottom? What if that's the bottom? What if I sell it to bottom? What if I sell, right? Because when we say this exact same thing on something like Solana, right? We make the exact same argument. Oh, but Mercury, where is it? 4-hour 200s look like this. But Mercury, what if we V-reverse? What if I'm the idiot that sells Solana at the lows? What if this is a V-reversal and Solana goes into $1,000 without me, right? Your fear that is inevitable, that it's going to plague you no matter what. If that fear is going to become reality, Solana needs to get back inside of this range. It needs to reclaim those 4-hour 200s. It then needs to break out of that range high. It then needs to make a higher high, which is also a new all-time high. It didn't do any of that. It wasn't even fucking close. So there was never a reason to be freaking out, right? We have a plan, we have a backup plan, we have a backup plan for our backup plan. We foresee, right, what might happen because we know what our fears are. We know what might occur. So we can foresee it. And if we can foresee it, we can plan for it. And if we can plan for it, maybe we don't need to be reliant on the market for Solana to reverse. Maybe we can execute on whatever's happening today, and then that execution allows us luxuries later down the line. Should I be buying Solana here on a weekly retest of an 8-month-long range at 200 daily moving averages? Does that seem like a good bid to me? Do I want to position for that high of a time frame? Should I maybe sell more Solana? Maybe better to do nothing and wait for reclaims of high time frame trends? Is there something else that I can go and trade that isn't Solana that's maybe stronger, that's going to give me better gains and maybe quicker too? Do you see how all those options are luxuries? All those options are high in terms of the tier of their quality, right? As opposed to, oh shit, I didn't execute when I was supposed to, right? Or when my system told me to, or when my gut was telling me to. I didn't do that. So now, should I add more to my Solana position and hope and pray that this weekly inflection point holds? Should I just do nothing, right? And then hope and pray that the weekly inflection point holds? Should I cut at a weekly inflection point so that I'm, no longer able to suffer even more drawdown from here? You see how all of those options are complete shit? They fucking suck. We don't like those options. We want to avoid those options. So every position that you find yourself in markets is a direct result of the position that you put yourself in. I'm always just going to call the objective analysis whatever it is at first glance, right? Whatever I can see visibly on the chart. If it looks like a bearish retest, I'm going to call it a bearish retest. If it looks like a reclaim, I'm going to call it a reclaim. If it looks like a breakout, I'm going to call it a breakout. If you have a problem with that, I can't help you. I don't know how to help you. That's all that I know how to do. It's not that I'm a rocket scientist or I'm a brain surgeon. I'm a genius. I have, crazy unwavering alpha. Like that's not the case here. Or I meant to say unadulterated, right? That's not the case here. I don't have this crazy alpha. I don't have like some kind of S tier alpha that I'm hiding, from you guys that I use behind the scenes and the moving averages is just vanity. That's not how that works. I just call whatever the chart is doing, I call it as objectively as possible. That's what it's doing. And based off of what it's doing today, I am always prepared for whatever happens tomorrow. Yes, that means up, down, sideways. It does not matter. This is how you gracefully flow with whatever the market is doing. And then flowing allows you to ebb, and then ebbing allows you to flow. And then the cycle just repeats, and markets are markets, and they're suddenly a tool that you get to use to better your life, right? To come in, make money, extract your value, and then use that value to better other aspects of your life, right? I get to send my parents on a vacation to go see their grandson, as opposed to them sitting there and working a 9 to 5 when their grandson, gets born later this week. That's a luxury. Markets provided that. So markets are a tool. They're not something that we have to sit here and fear and, succumb to. I don't want to be reliant on the market. If that's my goal, then I would just be an investor, right? I would just turn my brain off and say, oh, 99K Bitcoin, buying more. Oh, $2,000 Bitcoin, I'm going to buy more, right? And I'll be reliant on that asset. I'll be reliant on that market, and that takes the stress away in that regard, right? But I'm not here to do that necessarily. Not when we come into these streams and we talk about what are trades, what's relative strength, how do we ebb and flow, snowball to snowman kind of probabilities, way of thinking. That's not the goal. So I want to be in control. I want to make sure that no matter what happens next, I'm ready for it. I have the courage. I have the capital to go and extract my value, right? I can't do that if I'm neglecting what's happening at first glance. If I'm saying, "Oh, that's a breakdown below 4-hour 200s," no, it's not. It's a deviation, right? Because hear me out. If I'm willing to make that argument here, then what stops me from making that same argument on the entire 3-month-long rally upwards? What stops me? What stops me from saying, oh, we're breaking out of an 8-month-long range high? No, we're not. That's a fluke. That's a fake out. That's a deviation. This is going to be a bull trap. We're not actually breaking out. You guys are just so optimistic because you've been traumatized by 8-month-long ranges. Now you're hoping for anything, right? You're grasping at straws. Any little crumb of hope, you're going to take it and run with it, right? Market gives you an inch, you're going to take a mile. Oh, the higher high in the weekly? No, it's not actually a higher high in the weekly. It's a sweep of the highs. Oh, the higher low? Oh, no, that's not a higher low. That's the pre-dump, right? It's the test dump. Yeah, you can continue making those arguments. Oh, the clear and obvious, continuation and trekking into price discovery the same way that this asset has for the past, since its existence, every single 4 years or so. Oh yeah, that's not that. That's actually funding is super blown out of proportion. The RSI is screaming that we're overbought, and this is going to be a major top for the entire market. So if I'm unwilling to make objective analysis today or for Solana 2 weeks ago, right? What stops me from making the objective analysis on the way up? Nothing, because you're the same market participant that is willing to neglect whatever's happening at first glance in order to prioritize your arbitrary thoughts. Let's humble ourselves for a second. Let me humble myself. The market does not give two fucks about what I think. It doesn't. I hate to tell you. Oh, Mercury, but I look up to you. No, don't look up to me. I suck. You know what doesn't suck? Hey, which way is this headed? Oh, it's headed to the top right corner? Oh, maybe we just keep heading to the top right corner. Hey, which way is that headed? Oh, it's headed down? Oh, okay, maybe it keeps heading down. Hey, which way is this headed? Oh, it's headed sideways? Oh, okay, maybe it keeps heading sideways. There you go. You now understand technical analysis. You didn't need a fucking certified market technician degree, right? And pay hundreds or thousands of dollars to get some kind of certification to say that you know technical analysis. That's what doesn't suck, right? Objective analysis. Things that, hey, it is so fucking obvious in front of your face that more often than not, you're going to smack on 50 other indicators to overcomplicate it to suddenly have a totally different argument as opposed to whatever the market's doing. Oh, and by the way, eventually one day it's going to work. If you enter the market here and then you hear people say, "Oh my God, open interest, it's blown out of proportion. Funding, yeah, it's way too high. We need a reset in order for the market to be healthy," right? You started trading crypto right here. Oh, you think that's alpha. You think that that indicator is now vindicated and that is the winning mindset. That's the way you need to approach markets. So the next time around, right? Even if we did do this, oh no, funding, no, it's blown out of proportion. No, the higher high, no, it's not actually a higher high. Don't care about it. Oh, the reclaim of high time frame trend, no, it's not actually a reclaim of high time frame trend. No, it's a deviation. It's a fluke. It's a fake out. Oh, the breakout, no, 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 no. Oh, that higher high, no, it's actually a sweep of the highs. Don't you see this candlestick? Kind of looks like a top, doesn't it? We want to refrain from that. So that goes both ways. I hate to break it to you, but if you want a chance at flowing for the next time around, regardless of whatever that happens, that can mean price does this and this is the Pico bottom, and I'm sitting here doom posting and telling you that maybe the downtrend continues downtrending the same way that it has been downtrending. Wow, crazy thought, right? Or maybe it does this. I don't fucking know. But guess what? You know who's going to have the courage and capital to bid on the next rally around? Mercury will. Do you know why? Because I'm the same person that did so on that rally. Because I'm the same person that refrained from making those losing arguments for all of this downtrend. Oh, and I'm the same person that caught this rally, right? Even though it's peanuts. Oh, but I only caught that rally because I'm the same person that refrained from making losing arguments on this sell-off. Oh, and I was able to do that because I caught that rally. Oh, and I caught that rally and I had the courage and capital to bid that because I refrained from sitting here and saying, buy the dip, 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 buy the. See, I fucking told you so, right? I didn't do that. I said, hey, that's a downtrend. It kind of looks like a downtrend. Maybe we continue downtrending. Oh, we then contextualized it and said, hey, that's a lower high in the weekly. So maybe the lower high in the weekly leads to a lower low, right? Crazy thought, right? And then people came in and said, you don't know market structure. You don't even know what market structure is, and you have trader in your name? I'm not kidding you. I wish I was exaggerating. This is the God's honest truth, exactly what happened at that time, right? Because this is what 4-hour 200s look like. Price breaks down. I'm like, ooh, that's not good. That lower high in the daily, yeah, that's a lower high, and the lower low, that's now a downtrend, right? Let's extrapolate that really quick. What does that look? Oh yeah, that looks like it's headed to this corner, doesn't it? Oh yeah, and the 4-hour 200s, yeah. You see how we were above them, right? And the last few times that we were above them, that meant like good things, like not number go that way. But now we're below them again. Oh, and for on a higher time frame, that's a lower high in the weekly. You don't even know market structure. You call yourself a trader? Ah, wait. So how come the next time around when we came in to say, hey guys, by the way, just so you know, that's a higher low, right? This, let's extrapolate that really quick. Oh yeah, that looks like it's headed in this direction, doesn't it? Oh, okay, yeah. People said, oh, well, don't you know, Mercury, that we're still downtrending on the weekly? Isn't it ironic? Wait, what? But prior to that, you didn't want to hear the whole, hey, we're downtrending on the weekly argument, right? You didn't want to hear about my, hey, the lower high maybe leads to a lower low. You don't want to hear that. You told me that I didn't know what market structure was. Oh, it's so ironic though, because now 3 months later, when we're downtrending in the market structure that is the market structure, right? And the lower highs and the lower lows on the weekly, when we finally break that structure and you put in a higher low, I have to go through this whole fucking 17-hour debate with a bunch of crypto Twitter influencers that says, hey, do we calculate market structure based off of wicks? Or is it based off of closes? Because if it's closes, then technically this is still a lower low. Dude, come on, man. Come on. Call the analysis whatever the fuck it is. It's that simple. It's really not that complicated. If you understand what's happening on the chart, and you do, right? Because I promise you, a 4-year-old knows this is a downtrend. A 4-year-old knows this is an uptrend. A 4-year-old knows that this is sideways. A 4-year-old knows that this is sideways. A 4-year-old knows the fucking analysis at any given time. So if you understand the analysis, maybe your execution on that analysis will become a little bit more seamless, right? We can adhere to it. We can understand brain to gut. We can send down that signal from our brain to our gut that says, hey, here's why we're pressing the buttons the way that we are, because this is what's happening. And then if that's the case, it's impossible to be caught off guard by whatever happens tomorrow, because our brain will send a signal down to our gut that says, hey, by the way, just so you know, this is what's happening. That's how trading should work. The fact that the majority of people are either unwilling or unable to subscribe to this way of thinking is why this will always work. I'm not kidding you. Because you want to sit here and gloat about, oh, wow, Mercury, wow, you called it. You called it. You guys don't know what my portfolio looks like. You just know what I've said to you, right? Because the God's honest truth is, even the people that call it, majority of them call it quits right here. Right? Like, oh, I really think this will go into a bull market, but the market close. Right? Or, oh, damn it, I really thought that we would go into a bull market. I thought the higher highs and higher lows in the weekly would lead to, breakout, but this looks like a top to me. I really don't want to be the idiot that's bullish at the top and round trips everything. Maybe I should just go flat, heading into the election week. Capitulate. Sell everything. Even the long-term ledger that I was supposed to be holding for the next 5 years, sell that too, right? Because I'm a pansy, right? It's so easy to call things for what they are, and yet most are either unwilling or unable to do so. This is why objective analysis will always be alpha. It will always be alpha. Just simply calling whatever it is, whatever is happening, what it is. If it looks like a breakout, that's because it's a breakout. If it's not a breakout, you'll know because it'll be a deviation later on, won't it? Right? Oh, but Mercury, you were bearish at this bottom. You're telling us that the breakdown looks like a breakdown and that it's a breakdown, so we should look for a continuation of the breakdown, and that the downtrend is a downtrend, and that we should look for more downtrend, Mercury. And you were wrong. Yeah, why was I wrong? Because I'm the same fucking person that said that since here. And then when it stopped looking like a downtrend and the breakdown didn't look like a breakdown anymore, and instead it looked like a deviation, how did we adjust? How did we adapt to that? It was like, oh, guys, that's a reclaim. Wait, Mercury, why is that a reclaim? Because it looks like a reclaim to me. Because this is like local resistance, and that's a higher high, higher low, higher high. That looks like an uptrend to me. Sure, the structure is kind of similar to this, but what's the difference? The difference is this time we're actually above the same trends that we cared about, right? Which is the same trends that allowed us to say, hey, this might be the downtrend now, right? All the way back here. That's the difference. Oh, and then what happens? Oh, see, I told you so. I told you it was a deviation. Even though you're the same person that was saying, buy the dip. Buy the dip. On the way up, I was telling you about the bear divs, right? But on the way down, I'm going to tell you about this bull div and the bull div, and now it's an even bigger bull div, and how, the funding is so absolutely negative that surely that's the bottom, and the sweep of the lows of the sweep of the lows of the sweep of the lows of the prior sweep of the lows that all didn't work. Oh, yeah. Surely that person has the courage and capital to actually trade their analysis, right? We want to give them every benefit of the doubt. We want to be so unbelievably, stupidly naive to assume that that person is winning. Yep. Absolutely. You're not that naive. You're not that dumb. Come on. You understand it. You get it. The same person that's calling, buy the dip. Buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. By the time that we get to here, bro, what money are you buying the dip with? You told me to buy the dip 18 times prior to this for the past 3 weeks. With what money are you buying the dip? With what courage are you holding your dip buy, right? With what courage are you holding your dip buy at the exact Pico bottom when the market does this and comes right back to your entry, even though you caught the Pico bottom? With what courage, after getting traumatized for 3 weeks on end, that every single one of your buy the dip, right, bottom buys, and you're screaming at the fucking wind saying, oh my God, here's an intruder. You watch them all round trace for 3 weeks straight and lead to lower lows. With what courage are you holding your bottom buy to hold and see through for that rally? Where does that gut instinct come from all of a sudden, right? That doesn't affect you. There's no trauma. There's no PTSD. There's no, hey, I saw this happen 18 times before, and now my brain, my survival instincts are kicking in and making me finally want to adapt. And at that point, it's actually the wrong time. My survival instincts are actually, leading me the wrong way. They want to adapt so damn bad that it's finally clicking. It's finally clicking. Hey, you idiot. Stop holding and letting this run right back in the opposite direction. You've been saying the same fucking thing 18 million times over. Your survival instinct, your brain goes, hey, maybe take the little tiny profit that you have and run away. Because this has not been anything that's worked the past 8 times. Oh shit, in hindsight, I bought the bottom and then also sold the bottom for minimal gains. No, surely this won't be the rally. And then somehow, some way, you start revenge shorting on the way up. You're like, oh my God, the bear div. Oh, we're blown out of proportion again. Oh, look, now it's a bigger bear div. Oh, now it's an even bigger bear div. Right? And then all of a sudden, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. You're always, always, always perpetually going to find yourself on the wrong side of the market. And when that is the case, you start to manifest your reality too. Because your reality will seem like the market is out to get you. You have the worst luck, right? And you're going to be in that state of mind. And then all of a sudden, that's the only thing that you can ever possibly fathom. So that when you do find yourself finally able to subscribe to the courage and capital that's needed to expose yourself during an uptrend, when that uptrend breaks, you are unable to fathom the idea that your luck is so fucking bad, right? That's the time the trend is actually broken. And then, right, you go see your crypto Twitter timeline, whatever, and they're like, hey, don't worry, this is actually the bottom. I can't believe you guys all capitulated at the Pico bottom. Haha. Yeah, dude, you capitulated at the Pico bottom just for us to trade back at the exact same prices 3 days later. Why were you freaking out? What was the big deal exactly, right? How come we didn't just call bearish retest, bearish retest? How come we didn't just call breakdowns, breakdowns? How come we weren't making the argument that the number would go higher and continue V-reversing and that these dips didn't matter and blah, blah, blah? How come we weren't making that argument on the way up? What happened? Is this not the same market environment as this? Actually, it's even greater context. Because now we're broken out above the range, right? Previously, it was nuanced. It was contextual. We had to use our brains a lot. You kind of thought that I was bullshitting you and making, hopium arguments. I was pulling shit out of my ass and saying, oh, here's why we're going to go into a bull market, guys, because this is a higher low than that low, right? And you're like, what the fuck, Mercury? What are you talking about? That little tiny thing makes you think we're going into a bull market? What? Wait, so how come we weren't able to make the same argument when it was objectively uptrending? How come it's only now? Oh, because it's desperation. Oh, because we're reliant on the market now. If the market doesn't V-reverse, then we're absolutely fucked. Somehow, some way, we have allowed the market to go substantially higher, but our confidence has mirrored what the market is doing. So we are the most confident in higher prices when the price is the highest. What happens? Eventually the trend breaks, right? This is where we say, oh, that's cool. We did 3 months of hard work and holding and diamond handing and making the same fucking arguments like a broken record over and over and over and over and over again. And now we've gotten the gains that we're going to get, right? That was it. We lock those in. We see what happens next. We compound our purchasing power. We run it back for the next rally. I don't know if the next rally looks like this or if the next rally looks like this. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I'm sorry. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't really tell you, right? We can sit here and scale assumptions and talk about next key levels and blah 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 blah, but I don't know what that's going to look like. But that's my plan. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, but the person who's mirroring their confidence along with price. Wait, what happened? Hold on. How is price 80% higher than what it was 3 months ago, but your P&L is negative 60% lower than what it was 3 months ago? How does that work? Wait, what? Wait, I thought if BTC goes to $1 million, you're gonna just make it all of a sudden, right? Because BTC going from 3K to 60K is not enough, but BTC going from 100K to a million is somehow enough, right? And that's gonna change. That's gonna dictate: do you suck at trading or are you great at trading? Oh, it's almost as if higher prices can't fucking save you because you're in a losing mindset, right? And this is not to attack anybody. But if I'm sitting here talking about what not to do, then your brain should be gravitating towards what you should be doing, right? This is not me trying to put anybody down or saying that, oh, I'm so much better than everybody else. I really don't give two shits about that. I don't care to be better or worse than the next person. I'm stuck in my own lane. I could give two shits about what you think of me in terms of skill set or whatever. I'm accomplishing my goals on my own time. That's all that matters. But if I'm sitting here telling you what's obviously what we don't want to do, what we strictly want to avoid, specifically, right? Then your brain should start to gravitate towards what you should be doing. You should respect trends. Why? Because it's the easiest, most efficient way to extract value from markets. Oh, and then when the trend isn't trending, we just stop calling it a trend, right? We just say, hey, it's going sideways. And even a 4-year-old can comprehend that. So now we can actually get into the Bitcoin analysis, right? What is this price action? It's clearly and obviously a bearish retest, right? If it doesn't look like it, there you go. Now it looks like it. It's clearly and obviously a breakdown. It's clearly and obviously a bearish retest. It's clearly and obviously a lower low that was put in for the first time in 3 months. It's clearly and obviously all of those things. I don't care what happens next. That's what it is. Market can do this. Market can do this. Market can do this. Market can do this. I don't care. I will win. You know why? Because when the market is doing this, I will call it that. When the market's doing this, I will call it that. When the market is doing this, I will call it that. And when the market is doing this, that's what I will call it. That's why. That's why I will always win. That's why no matter what happens, if we go into a bear market from here, you're still going to get live streams from me 3 times a week. I'm not going to just suddenly give up. I'm not going to suddenly, oh, the market sucks. Oh, I hate crypto, right? No, I'm not going to do that. Because I was surviving, and that allowed me to thrive. And then from thriving, I was surviving, right? And then it just repeats. The cycle just repeats over and over and over again. We flow so that we can ebb, and then we ebb so that we can flow. That's all it is. If we're not executing when we should be executing, this is not me telling you, hey, you need to capitulate all of your Bitcoin right here, right now. I'm not saying that. Because your true strategy might be, no, I'm just going to keep holding, right? And technically, this is a bull market still, even with 4-hour 200 MA's trend breakdown, we're still trading above an 8-month-long range high, right? So you could theoretically say, hey, I'm just going to keep holding. No big deal. I don't care. I'm just going to hold and diamond hand, and this is a bull market, so eventually that should pay off, right? If that's the strategy that you've implemented, because a portion of me has, right, for the past 7 years, and neglected all of the 2021 bear market, 2022 bear market, and neglected all of it for that portion of my portfolio and said, I just need to own Bitcoin, and that's going to allow me to trade Bitcoin more objectively in other aspects of my portfolio. That's actually going to be the thing that rewards me the most, right? Not trying to maximize my efficiency and capitulate all my Bitcoin at the top and then buy all, right? Deploy all my cash at the bottom. That's actually not going to be the best thing for me, right? I'm not telling you to deviate away from your strategies to try and play into what you think I'm trying to tell you to play into, right? I'm not giving you a strategy here. I'm giving you a philosophy. I'm giving you a concept. That's what I'm giving you. When your triggers trigger, you need to do something about it. If you can justifiably and reasonably and rationally dictate, hey, there's not a necessary trigger here, even though something is triggered, then make sure that you're willing and able to adhere to that thought. Because let's go back and take a trip in the previous bear market, the previous top. Let's talk about what was the analysis back then, right? So the same way that we come back and say, oh, well, when I was calling lower high on the weekly, everybody didn't care. Now all of a sudden, when I call high or low, everybody cares about the lower highs on the weekly, right? Let's run back and do some time traveling here. Not because I need to claim clout to all 15 of you watching this right now. I truthfully could give two shits whether you think that I'm the greatest trader in the world, all 15 of you. But because it provides some insight, right? Provides a little bit of experience in how markets work. And just keep in mind that the market is always going to be the same. It's always going to operate in the same general manner. It's always going to be different. There's always going to be little nuances. There's always going to be variance. There's always going to be those things. So the market is the same that it is today, right? As it was always, because it's always different. It's always the same. So let's go talk about what were we saying at this top. We said 4-hour 200 MA's breakdown, right? 4-hour 200s looked more or less like this. 4-hour 200 MA's breakdown. This got chopped up a little bit more, so it goes a little bit more like that. 4-hour 200s broke down. We lost a key support level, and we shifted our daily market structure bearishly. Actually, my interpretation at the time was that the market structure on the daily looked like this, and that was our lower high, and this was our following lower low, right? So we extrapolate that. Yep, that's a downtrend. So we did all three things that we need to do in order for my system to flip bearish, right? To say, hey, the same thing that made me think, hey, we're bullish now, we should probably target the next leg higher, is the same thing that's now telling me, hey, we're bearish now, I should probably target the next leg lower. People see that argument. They're like, hey, why are you doom posting because of 4-hour 200s? That's silly. You think that 4-hour is a high time frame? Huh, you're an idiot. You have trader in your name and you think that 4-hour is a high time frame. Well, what you don't realize, because I have to explain everything somehow, some way. What you don't realize is that the 4-hour 200 moving averages are a lagging indicator, so really they're helping me portray a daily time frame. I don't know a trader that wouldn't call the daily time frame not a high time frame, right? Typically, we think about that as a high time frame. So in that regard, no, it is high time frame weakness, right? You're just probably biased based off of how you're positioned, maybe? I don't know. And then the other thought is someone else comes in and they're like, hey, I see the 4-hour 200s argument. I understand that's a daily bearish argument, but Mercury, we're still trending higher highs and higher lows on the weekly chart. I'm like, oh, that's a really good, very astute observation, my friend. Where do you think that we'll lock in the next higher low on the weekly? Because if I'm going to give you my analysis, where do I think that the market would most likely, if anywhere, lock in a higher low? I'd probably say maybe somewhere around here, right? Maybe somewhere in this general region with 50K and maybe 200 daily moving averages as support for like a weekly basis. And that's going to be our weekly inflection point. And then from there, that would be the most ideal place to lock in a higher low somewhere higher than this low, right? Because here's the thing. There's analysis and then there's actionable analysis. And there's a big difference there. Because if I'm talking about analysis, right, the analysis is high, low, higher high, and then, oh yeah, wait a minute, that's a lower low. Is that actionable though? Because if you're telling me, hey, we're still a higher low on the weekly, still a higher low on the weekly, still a higher low on the weekly, still a higher low on the weekly. Yep, weekly. Oh, guys, by the way, we now put in a lower low on the weekly. I'm invalid. Oh, my argument's wrong. Oh, thanks, genius. It only took you negative 42% to realize that. Wow, thank you so much for this very actionable analysis. What am I supposed to do with that, by the way? Oh, you want me to sell right here? oh, great, I sold the Pico bottom. Now this 10% bounce is driving me crazy because when I go scroll my crypto Twitter timeline, that was the bottom. Buy the dip. V reversal incoming. Right? And then I'm like, ah, oh, fuck. Nah, I don't know what to do. Why did I sell the bottom? Why did I wait negative 40% to sell the lows? I shouldn't have sold. Clearly that was the bottom. Market buy. Yep, never mind. Now I'm getting chopped up to hell. Now I'm experiencing way too much drawdown. Now I've allowed the trade to go way out of hand, right? Run way against me before I've decided to even do anything. But wait a minute, Mercury. You're the same person that said, hey, I'm just now selling my ledger for the first time in 7 years, all of a couple of weeks ago. So you were also holding, preying on that higher low. You're absolutely right, I was. You know why? Because I love Bitcoin. So here's a thought. If I love Bitcoin so much, and I care so damn much about Bitcoin, and if I'm the person that capitulates their ledger investment here on Bitcoin, even though that investment would still be up on average 10x from its average entry, even though that is the case, this move would drive me absolutely fucking insane. Even though during the exact same time span, Tesla relief bounced 40%. I don't give two shits about that Tesla 40% relief bounce, but that 10% relief bounce on Bitcoin driving me absolutely fucking nuts. So what I told myself was, hey, I'm going to do this in my trading account. Hey, I'm going to do that in my investment account. And then when we did actually continue and we made a lower low on the weekly, and I told myself at the highs, yeah, I'm going to hold my ledger account. No, I'm not going to touch it. Nope, I'm not going to touch it. When we traded negative 40% lower, it's not like all of a sudden I was like, oh, maybe I should touch my ledger account. No, that's not what came into my head. It was, hey, well, okay, and this was the plan that I had in mind since 3 months ago when we were trading 50% higher. What's the big deal? I'm not telling you, hey, if you're not selling your Bitcoin today, right here, right now, because we lost 4 hour 200s, you suck at trading. I can't believe that you're fading me. That's never something that I would come in and try and tell you. But what I am telling you is if you told yourself, hey, I'm going to sell this amount, I'm going to capitulate this position, I'm going to do this, do that, blah, 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 when X, Y, and Z happens, and then X, Y, and Z happen, and you don't do it, you suck at trading. That's what I will tell you. And you know why you suck at trading? Because you lied to yourself. You can't even give yourself a plan, a backup plan for your backup plan, and adhere to it. You can't even see it through. You lack the discipline, you lack the emotional maturity. So yes, you will always suck at trading. I don't care what happens next. You will always suck at trading. You will always feel as though the market is out to get you. You will always make up random entities, right? Fabricate entity. Oh, the market makers stopped me out. No, that's not what they do. They provide liquidity. Sorry, they don't drive the direction for the market. Nope, I don't know why you thought that. It's 2024. Let's finally understand why market makers exist, right? If that's how you're operating, that's a poor mindset. That's poor behaviors. That is a losing mindset. That is a losing habit. You will average losses. You cannot approach the market the same way that 95% of other people do and then experience or expect to yield a different result than the other 95% of fucking people. That's not how that works. Albert Einstein, if he were alive today, would tell you that you're insane. Right? So we have to adhere to whatever our plan is, to whatever our system is saying. Because hear me out here. Let's humble ourselves. I know that you have thoughts on the market. Maybe those thoughts derive from fear. Maybe you're detached from fear entirely and you're like, Mercury, this doesn't affect me because I'm not fearful. I'm up, 8x on my account in the past 3 months. I'm doing good, man. I'm going to play into my thoughts. Hear me out. The market doesn't give a fuck about your thoughts, right? It doesn't. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. The market doesn't care about what you have to think about it, right? Or what you think happens next. It doesn't care. Nobody cares. You do, though, but nobody else does. So you have to some degree, prioritize what's happening in front of your face objectively. Prioritize that. Our arbitrary thoughts come later. When the market is all of a sudden moving in tandem with your arbitrary thoughts, that's when you will do best. That's when the connection from what you're seeing, what your brain is computing and breaking down, and what your gut is digesting in terms of your arbitrary gut feeling, that instinct, that intuition. Here's what I think happens next, right? Even though the chart may not be agreeing. All of a sudden, when the chart agrees and your gut agrees, that's when you perform best. Guess what? We sum that phenomenon, we sum that up by saying conviction. That's conviction. That's what that is. That's your intuition. That's your instinct. That's your alpha. That's the way that you'll dynamically scale your position sizes to extract an even greater value from the market, right? How is Mercury able to say, I don't really know what to think here. I don't know. Maybe this might be good. And then on this test, oh my God, guys, I think we go into a bull market. I think this is what we're here for. Let's go look at that Bitstamp chart. Let's talk about why are we here in crypto? Why did you join crypto in the first place? This is why, because this might happen, this might happen, this might. Guys, you need to be bullish. You need to be prepared. You need to be, if we lock in higher highs on the weekly, then it may be go time, right? This time might be different. Wait a minute, Mercury. How come those were two totally different cadences in those live streams, right? You can go back and watch them. What is the difference between those cadences? How is that so different? Oh, because my gut was also moving in line with what the chart was doing, right? We locked in a higher low in the weekly. It sounds so unbelievably stupid, doesn't it? To say that this might lead to that. And yet it did. It sounds so unbelievably stupid to say, oh, that's a lower high than this high on the weekly chart. Oh, maybe it leads to that. It sounds so silly. It sounds like it's kind of just remedial, right? Like it's trivial. Nobody fucking cares. And yet that's how it played out. Why? Because that's objectively what happened on the chart. So then when this, a higher low, leads to a higher high, and then the higher high leads to a higher low, and then the higher low leads to another higher high, and then that higher high continues, and in hindsight, the uptrend that was an uptrend continues uptrending. Do not have the audacity to come back 3 months later and say, oh, I never saw it coming. No, you did. You did. You saw it coming. You saw the breakout of an 8-month-long range that looked like a breakout. You saw the higher high. You saw the higher low. You saw the reclaim and deviation back inside of that range. You saw the initial reclaim of high time frame trends that kind of inferred, hey, that might be a higher low on the weekly. Maybe this time's different. You saw all of it. You just didn't believe it. You just didn't execute. You saw it coming. You just weren't prepared for it. Your gut or your brain were not in sync. They were not moving in tandem. So when I see objective analysis in front of my face, it could not be more obvious. The bearish retest that is a bearish retest looks like, trades like, and smells like a bearish retest. What am I going to call it? A deviation. No. What? Why? Why would I call it that? That doesn't make any fucking sense. What got me here in the first place? So that I could humbly complain about, oh, wow, I'm down. I gave a little bit of profit back in the market. How did I have profit in the first place in order to give some of it back, to be negative 20% off of whatever my previous all-time high net worth was? How did I get to that point? How did I create an all-time high in my net worth? I called the analysis at first glance, whatever it was, I called it what it was. That's how I did that. Oh, and by the way, my gut also agreed. So it was very easy. It was very seamless for me to want to position for something like that, even though it was very early. It was very preemptive because I started to see the dominoes fall over in that direction. And now, at that point, it's just a matter of how many dominoes do you need for that gut and brain to finally be in sync? Was it, hey, I don't care. I want to, not get chopped up here. I'm going to wait for the range high breakout. Again, just because Mercury is the giga bull posting and all the live streams and daily market updates and on Twitter doesn't mean I'm telling you at the lows, hey, if you're not buying Bitcoin here, you suck at trading. You're an idiot. I can't believe that you'd fade me. Don't you know I'm the same person that called this downtrend a downtrend? Don't you know I caught this rally? Don't you know? Wow, I can't believe that you're fading me. That's not what I said. But what I am saying is, hey, if you have a plan, better fucking stick to it. because it's not an issue between, hey, did you buy here when I start giggle bull posting? Did you buy here? Did you buy the high? Did you buy this? It's a matter of, did you listen to what you told yourself you would do? Because this is not any more or less impressive than someone that says, hey, the pros and cons, yes, I understand, we're starting to uptrend. This, and this is happening. But the pros and cons, man, a better entry price, right? Mercury's making a more preemptive kind of argument at a better entry price earlier in the trend, before we've put in a higher low in the week, or a higher high in the weekly, before we've broken out of the range. So the offset is he gets better entry, he gets more reward, but I kind of favor the probabilities. Maybe I've been drawing down my account too much, right? Maybe at this point, from whatever my peak all-time high net worth is, I'm at like 40% off of the all-time high. And that's just not comfy to me. So I'm going to prioritize more probabilistic setups, more favorable things that are more likely to occur. I don't necessarily need the greater gains, because those will come, right? If BTC breaks out of this range high, as Mercury's saying, man, maybe we get a bunch of altcoins across the board. If the stupid dino coins start to wake up for the first time in 2 years, maybe that's not a fade signal. Maybe that's the, hey, this time is different kind of signal. And that's going to lead other altcoins to break out too, and other opportunities. So I don't need the crazy gains. I would prioritize the probability. And when is the probability the highest, right? When it seems like in present time, the opportunity has already came and passed you by, and it's behind you. But in reality, it's going to allow us to scale what our perception of what happens next. That's going to be the last hump, the last hurdle that we have to overcome before we can finally say, oh shit, Mercury might have been right. Mercury's right. Wait a minute, we might go into a bull market with more adamancy, with more perceived probabilities than ever before. When does that happen? When we finally do something different that we've not been able to do for the first time in 8 months. So I hear your arguments, Mercury, but I just can't. I can't bring myself to execute on them. I see the argument. If it happens, I'll have seen it coming, but that's just not what's in my best interest to execute. Oh shit, we're breaking out of the 8-month long range. 2 months ago, I told myself that I would execute, that I would buy the breakout. That I would buy the breakout of an 8-month long range. Here's where, are you a winner? Are you a loser? I don't care if the market ends up doing this. I don't care. Because here's how this plays out. 2 months ago, I told myself that I would buy here. I said that I would buy the breakout in an 8-month long range. And then you do, right? You buy the breakout in an 8-month long range. In reality, what actually ends up happening is, wow, that was a pretty damn good trade. Congratulations. Now you get to ride the trend just along with, just like anyone else, right? And you get to comfortably cut when that trend breaks, and you can lock in your profit, and you can compound that on the next rally around, right? Whenever that happens. You have luxuries, right? You're playing with house money now. You can, take advantage of the fact that you're in profit. So, right? That's how that happens in reality. What was the alternative when you go to buy this breakout, because that's a plan that you had set in mind 2 months ago? And you told yourself that that's what you would do. Oh, you're an idiot. Sorry, you actually bought the Pico top. That sucks. When do you cut? When it looks like a breakdown, when it looks like a deviation, right? When the trend stops trending. Maybe somewhere around here, maybe on a lower low. So you lose 1 R, or maybe 2 R, right? Maybe you're more convicted. Maybe you start to scale and be a little bit more aggressive with your risk because your gut is telling you that you should be. So maybe you lose 1, 2, 3 R, right? Somewhere in that region, you're like, fuck, that sucks. And then it's, fresh game board again. Now we just clear our minds. We look for the next opportunity. We play it all over again, right? Whenever it happens. But what's the alternative? If you tell yourself, hey, I'm going to buy the 2-month long range breakout, right? I'm going to buy the breakout 2 months from now. And the breakout happens and you don't buy what happened in reality. Well, now you told yourself that you would do something and you didn't do it. So more likely than not, at some point, somewhere around here, you're going to say, this is stupid. I told myself that I was going to buy. Bitcoin really looks like it's going to break straight through 100,000 and go straight for 250,000. You know what? 96K is not a terrible entry when I'm targeting 250,000, is it? Market buy. And then that's the first meaningful drop that Bitcoin has in 2 months, right? So, oh, that sucks. And now you're finding yourself reliant on the trend. You're like, oh, please reverse market, please. Please reverse, please V reversal, please. Right? What's the other alternative? When you don't buy here, when you don't call the breakout a breakout, and you don't execute on it, and you lie to yourself, what's the other alternative? Ah, see? I fucking knew it. I knew that I should have lied to myself. I knew that I shouldn't have followed through with the game plan that I gave myself 2 months ago. I fucking knew that. Now you're vindicated in losing mindsets. Now you're vindicated. Now that is going to be reinforcement to continue down the losing path, the losing behavior, the thing that if you continue doing that for the rest of forever, you ensure that you yield the same results as all the other 95% of traders that lose. When you look at this breakdown and say, that's not a breakdown. No, that's a bear trap. That's going to be a deviation. That's a fluke. That's a sweep of the lows. That's a fake out. What happens the next time that the trend breaks down? No, that's not going to be a breakdown. That's going to be a fluke. That's going to be a fake out. It's going to be a deviation, right? Sorry, dude. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a fake out. It wasn't a deviation. It was a breakdown that looked and smelled and traded like a breakdown right before it broke down. Right? You don't want to be vindicated in losing habits. The best way to not be vindicated in losing habits and continue adhering to winning philosophy is to play out with whatever plan you have given yourself. See it through. Believe in it. Let it come into fruition. And then see, how does that reward you long term? How does that benefit you? When you start to adhere to winning philosophy, over time, you get vindicated in its philosophy. You get vindicated in the actions that you're taking, in the way that you think about and approach markets. You get vindicated in that behavior. That becomes astonishing. It becomes like eye-opening. And suddenly, you no longer ever want to detach from it. Because winning philosophy wins. Even when it doesn't. Right? Truthfully, honestly, this is how I have to break it down to you. I don't care that this ends up being a deviation. It is in my best interest to call the breakdown a breakdown. Because the next time that the market does this, I'm not going to call it a deviation. And if it is a deviation, cool. I can adapt. I can buy the reclaim. I can buy the breakout. I can buy the retest, right? Oh, I miss all that because the market does this. My greatest fear is now reality. Oh, maybe I can buy the breakout of the range high, right? Oh, I missed that too because the market just says, fuck you, Mercury. It just V reverses and goes to infinity without me. Oh, okay. Maybe altcoins will start to shape up well later down the line. Maybe I can find a local trend to play somewhere in here, right? Or on the hourly, we're looking like this, and I can, here's 17 chances to bid the trend, right? Just in case you were sidelined. Oh, okay, yeah. So we offset our fears by understanding the market is abundant with opportunity, first of all. And then the times where your fear never even becomes close to fucking reality. Because the breakdown that looks like, trades like, and smells like a breakdown actually breaks down. Now you're vindicated. In the right habit, in the right behavior. The reality is, as a trader, you are not here to be reliant on the market. It is not my job to sit here after 3 months of saying, guys, we haven't even lost 4-hour 200s. I really don't see the big deal here. Guys, we still haven't lost 4-hour 200s. Guys, stop freaking out. We still haven't lost 4-hour 200s. Guys, 4-hour 200s, 4-hour 200s, 4-hour. And then the time that the 4-hour 200s break, I go, market, please reclaim the 4-hour 200s. Please reclaim it, please. I can't do this. I don't know what to do. That's not my job. I'm not here to do that. That's not what I'm here for. My job is to take control. My job is to put myself in luxurious positions. The same way that I call a breakdown on Solana, and as opposed to now that it's trading negative 25% lower from where I exited, as opposed to saying, should I keep holding my position? Should I double down my entry? Should I cut now, even though we're at, very high time frame support, just in case this ends up bleeding even further? What should I do? I have the luxury. Do I want to buy Solana here? Should I wait for a reclaim? Is there something else that I can go take my Solana profits on and go bid something else? Right? What do I want to do? I'm in control. I get to dictate how I want to play this. Right? That's the point of being a trader. So we have to abide by that. We have to put that into practice, see the fruits of that labor enough times in a row, consistently. Not in a row, but consistently over time. And then all of a sudden, trading becomes easy, becomes second nature, becomes seamless. It's a brain to gut signal that tells you, hey, here's where you should do something. And then you just see what happens next. And then that same signal is going to say, hey, you were wrong. Sorry, you should do this now. Right? Or it never gets to that point, and you get to bask in the glory of my invalidation doesn't trigger until 3 months later after price is already 70% higher. Do you really think I'm fucking desperate and needy and urgently begging for the market to reverse from here? No, I couldn't fucking care less. That's the point. Taking control and controlling whatever you have control over. You cannot control what happens in the market. You can't. There's no way. You can't determine, is the next 4-hour 200 MAs reclaim going to be a fart push and a lower high and a fluke and a deviation? Or is it going to be the reclaim that leads to continuation the same way that it did back here? You can't control that. I hate to break it to you. But here's the thing. I've never been able to control that. In the past 4 years where I've adopted the psychology and philosophy and concepts and system that you see firsthand today and every day since then, not at any point in those 4 years have I ever been in control of that. And yet here I am. My biggest issue today is my sibling going to be okay, going through labor? My issues are detached from the market. They're not real. I don't have issues when it comes to markets. I don't have hey, does the market sell off? Does BTC go to 73K? Do we reclaim tomorrow and I get sidelined? None of those fears, they're not real. They're not real fears. My fears are, what should I eat for lunch today? Is my sibling going to be okay? When am I going to be able to go see my nephew? I kind of lost track of time. At what point do I go to the gym and get my workout in? That's my biggest issue, right? I'm in control. I control whatever I want to control. That's the point. That is the entire point of being a trader. So, really quick, I'm going to read what you guys have to say. This thought process is amazing, simple, no stupid indicators, just common sense. Exactly, right? I'll give you the biggest, the gripe that someone told me many, I think it was like over a year ago. I put out a 2-minute video on Twitter, as I sometimes infrequently do. Just a quick 2-minute video. Hey, here's my thoughts on the market. All right, I put out my video, and I started getting a bunch of comments. Wow, thank you so much for this content. Right, I appreciate you, whatever. Then one guy goes, I clicked on this video thinking that you were going to drop some crazy alpha on my head and give me some, far detached outlook on your thoughts on the market. And I don't remember what word they used, but it was a word that I had to look up the definition. And the definition of this word was for fact, like factual statement, undebatable, right? And so they said, I clicked on this thinking that you were going to give me some like outlandish outlook on what your thoughts on the market are. But instead, you just told me exactly what is. And I was like, yeah, that's the fucking point, right? Wow, you figured out why Trader Mercury exists. Congratulations. I'm here to tell you exactly what's happening on the chart. That's it. My job is not anything greater than that. Sorry, right? That's the alpha. There you go. Congratulations. Make sure you tip me the 3 Bitcoin that you need, or right, for all this alpha that I just dropped on your head. Just call breakdowns breakdowns, and downtrends downtrends, and breakouts breakouts, and uptrends uptrends. Wow, there you go. Give me my 3 Bitcoin now. Right? It's ironic. That was his gripe with me, and that's the entire purpose of why I exist and continue to post analysis and blah blah blah. That's the entire fucking philosophy. I will just tell you what is, not what may be, right? You can sit here and hypothesize and speculate and talk about hypotheticals and blah blah blah, whatever, right? We can do that. That's fine. You want to talk about what happens when 4-hour 200s get reclaimed? I would think we fucking run it back turbo. We 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 run it back turbo. That's what I would think. Oh, but Mercury, you left one out. Exactly. I thought we would run it back turbo here. Didn't happen. Well, then we contextualized it. And we said, hey, we should do this, blah, 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 blah. We adapt. But I thought we would run it back turbo there too. I can't control that we didn't. I also thought that we would run it back turbo here. I can't control that we didn't. But that would be my thought. So your thought of, oh my God, if we run it back turbo, here's the irony. Oh my God, if we run it back turbo from here, we're going to enter the golden bull market. We're going to go into the banana zone. We're going to be unbelievably euphoric. It's going to be the pinnacle of extremity of the environment. The market's going to be manic. Everything's going to run, and I'm going to miss out. I don't think you understand what manic environments are like. I don't think you understand the true definition of an alt season. I don't think you understand that. Not a single person. I've been here 7 years. In my 7 years of crypto trading experience, I've had the luxury of talking with thousands of crypto traders, right? Some of which who joined the same time as me, some of which who joined after me, some of which who joined several cycles before me. So, or a cycle before me, I guess. There was only one cycle before me. So, I've talked to a lot of traders. I've never heard a single trader say, oh, I didn't make enough in the bull market. You know what I have heard, though? Every single time, 100% of the time, every single poor, I don't know, self-reflection. Hey, I didn't keep enough of what I made in the bull market. That's your issue. That's going to be your issue. Not that you didn't make enough. Not that you're going to miss out on countless fucking opportunities every single day you wake up, right? We talked about it preemptively, way ahead of time, before it actually happened. Hey, just so you know, I know that this coin are on the watch list this week, but eventually there's going to be a time, especially if I'm right on this time around, eventually there's going to come a time where you're going to say to me, hey, Mercury, please stop trying to claim clout on your stupid altcoin watch list. I don't care that your coin is up 50%. Every coin's up 50%, Mercury. There's 100 other coins that I could have went and traded, and they'd all be up 50%. Why do I care about your list? Eventually that time's going to come, guys, just so you know. Oh, yeah, in that environment, you're going to miss out, right? No, that's not how that works. Nope. At some point, even if it's poor habits, you're going to throw in the towel and say, maybe I should just bid the top, right? And the market will be so damn nice to you for whatever reason that it's just going to continue ripping anyways, because 50 million other people are thinking the exact same thing. Maybe I should just ape the top. Maybe I should just market buy. Maybe I should just... And that's going to be the environment. So more likely than not, you're going to have profit. You're going to have extreme gains. You're going to run up a balance, right? You're going to do that more often than not. But your issue is most likely going to be, I didn't keep enough. Well, how come you didn't keep enough? Well, because you allowed your confidence to scale parallel to whatever the price was doing. So as number went higher, you started to gain more confidence. Well, you decided that you weren't going to execute, and then when it came time to not execute, you decided to execute anyways, because you lie to yourself all the time. And, and then when it came time to execute, you told yourself you were going to execute, that you were going to cut Solana when it lost 4-hour 200s, broke down below a range, and put in a lower low on the daily. And then Solana lost 4-hour 200s and broke down below a range and put in a lower low on the daily. So now you're looking at a 183 Solana and you're like, is this going to be a higher low on the weekly? Please be a higher low on the weekly, Solana. Oh yeah, that's why you're not going to lock in majority of the gains. You're not going to keep whatever you made in the bull market. That's what you need to fixate on. That's what you need to prioritize. As we were going up, I came in, I said, guys, do not think for even a second that all of a sudden I have just lost my sense of self. That I was this rational, logical, level-headed, common sense kind of trader on the way up into this rally. But now that Bitcoin is 90,000, now I'm a degenerate. Nope, fuck being a defensive bull. Fuck all the philosophy and concepts that got me here in the first place that allowed me to survive this and survive that and survive this chop and survive that little bit of drawdown. That allowed me to survive all that. Fuck all those concepts that allowed me to survive so that I could position comfortably and thrive for this rally. Forget all about it. Just forget it. Who cares anymore? Because price is 90,000 now. No, that's not how that works. I didn't lose my sense of self. I didn't just suddenly become a degenerate because now the market environment is more favorable for degenerates, right? Because now it's going to be a little bit more friendly to degenerates for just a little while longer before we remind them that they still suck at trading and they're losers, right? Right. Yeah. I'm not going to change the way that I think about and approach markets just because the market environment changed. I'm not going to do that. I have 7 years of experience at this point. Shame on me if I do that. Shame on me. Because whatever result or whatever position I find myself in later down the line for succumbing to that way of thinking is deserved. That's the position that I allowed myself to be in. I don't want to be in that position. So no, I'm not going to suddenly turn into a degenerate. I'm bull posting at 108K. Wow. People said to me, hey, you're talking about bearish retest. Weren't you just bullish at the top? Why was I bull posting at the top? Haphazardly. Why was I doing that? Oh, because I'm the same person that was doing that here too. Oh, right. Your confidence does this, right? So 108K, you see this bull post, you're like, oh, man, he's getting so confident. Oh, man, my confidence did this. And I know that's not a flat line, but imagine that it was, right? I just gave you the same fucking arguments that I had been giving you for 3 months on end. Oh, and then when those arguments are no longer valid, I just come in and say, hey guys, those arguments that we were making for 3 months on end, yeah, they're not valid anymore. Mercury, what does this mean? Is this a macro top? Is this the bear market? I don't know. I wasn't calling for a bear market here. I just said, hey, the downtrend on the daily and the loss of this key level and the loss of 4-hour 200s, by the way, they look like that. Oh, yeah. That's what that is, right? It's a downtrend. It looks like, smells like, trades like a downtrend. It's probably a downtrend. I didn't say, oh, I think we go into a bear market here. I didn't say that. But then, when we pulled back negative 40%, I'm like, do I want to bid these 200 dailies? You know what? No, I really don't. I don't want to bid them. I'd rather just wait for a reclaim, right? I mean, doesn't that seem like a logical, level-headed analysis? I'd rather just wait for a reclaim. If we get the reclaim, then I'll start to, play this as if that was the higher low on the weekly, and that we can run it back turbo from here. Oh wait, it was this one. Sorry, they look the same. All right. Yeah. If we get that reclaim, then great. Oh, by the way, how do you reclaim this without reclaiming a local trend first? Because Mercury, the local trend kind of looks like this, right? Oh yeah, so that's a snowball, and then can we compound this? Oh no, we couldn't. So we lost the local trend again. Oh, see guys, that was probably a top, and maybe this isn't the low on the weekly. Maybe we continue trading lower, right? Sure, we have a little bit of a range here, but I don't know. It seems like a lower high in the daily. Maybe that lower high in the daily leads to a lower low, the same way that it has been. So maybe that isn't the bottom. Oh, and then it's not the bottom. Oh, and then now that we made a lower low in the weekly, we're trading below 200 dailies and blah, 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 blah. Now it's a bear market confirmed, Mercury. Well, okay. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. We're down negative 40%. Now it seems like we're in a bear market. We lost 200 daily moving averages. The weekly structure is broken. Well, guess what? How did we put in a lower low on the weekly? What did we have to do in order to get there? Oh, we had to downtrend on the daily, right? We had to lose 4-hour 200s. We had to do this, we had to do that. So don't tell me that you didn't see it coming. Don't tell me that, because you're lying. You're not lying to me, you're lying to yourself. You always see it coming. We cannot create a snowman without building a snowball first. Such a simple, stupid way to get across such a complex concept. Perceived probabilities in markets. Because the reality is, I can't tell you the fucking probability within a standard deviation of 2%. I can't do that. I can't say, oh, guys, there's a 17% chance that we go into a bear market here. I don't know that. There's no way for me to know that. But at least I can skew the way that I'm perceiving that outcome in terms of probabilities based off of whatever's happening objectively on the chart. At least I can do that, right? So for below key trends, for losing key structures, for losing key levels, I can at least say, oh, we have a greater chance for that outcome than prior. Maybe I should care about that. And then if it happens, well, that's why we cared about it. And if we get even something somewhat reminiscent of it, well, good thing I cared about that. Because is the person that said, oh, buy the dip, is that person really able to buy the dip and then hold for that rally when they were also saying, buy the dip, 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 buy the dip? Probably not. Probably not, right? Let's not be naive. Probably not how we're trading. Rishi says, welcome, by the way. Love to see new people in here. Complete detachment from crypto. Just like I won't give a fuck about Tesla losing the trend. I will cut it as soon as I see the trend being lost. Yeah, absolutely. DXR says, great alpha and mindset. Don't try to call things before they play out. Trying to get ahead of the market is a good way of getting chopped up. Yeah, it's a good take as well. Hey, Mercury, do you pyramid your positions, cutting the capital from losing positions and adding them to winning ones? If yes, how do you do it? What's the actual mindset behind it? It's not something that I do consciously, but it's something that kind of just happens over time. So like if I'm in, I'll give you an example. This is a relevant example. So I'm trading Solana, right? I'm swing trading Solana along 4-hour 200 moving averages. This was my entry initially. And so when we lose 4-hour 200s, when we break this structure, this is where my trade gets cut, right? So around 215, my trade gets cut on Solana. I'm like, I can't really justify it anymore. Smells like, looks like, trades like a breakdown. I have to call it a breakdown. So Solana then bounces. I'm like, I don't really care. It still looks like a breakdown. It still looks like a bearish retest. But me cutting that Solana position then allows me to go rotate profit over to a winning trade, to something else. And then I go to Ondo at the time is reclaiming, or somewhat later, is reclaiming hourly 200s. And that's the local trend that we've been discussing on Ondo for a month leading up into that point. So like, hey, if we lose the hourly 200s, that might allow for a deeper pullback. Now, the way that I called it was 4-hour 200 moving averages are historically relevant for Ondo. That's going to be the trend that I target next. So they actually do not get tested here. The confluent support level, right? The inflection point as a whole, we could argue, hey, that was tested, but the 4-hour 200s themselves look like this, right? So we front ran them, and I had bids at the 4-hour 200s. So, and then I also had bids on something like AVAX, right? And AVAX filled my bids perfectly at the bottom and then rally 30% higher. Me cutting my Solana position allows me to go set bids on AVAX so that I can buy the pullback from low time frame trend. As Ondo is losing hourly 200, so is AVAX. Ondo front runs my bids, but AVAX fills my bids, right? The only reason that I had the freedom to go and bid either of them so that I could get front ran on Ondo, but also filled on AVAX, the only reason that I had the freedom to go and do that is because I cut my Solana trade. But I didn't cut my Solana trade so that I could go enter an Ondo position. I didn't see Solana stalling and say, I think it might break down, so I'm going to get rid of this and buy Ondo instead. I didn't do that. It wasn't conscious. It wasn't something that I needed to think about and forcefully put into practice. it just fell into my lap. It just happened that way, right? So I do that, but it's not something that I'm, oh, let me cut my loser and add to my winner. No, it's, hey, this thing is now becoming a loser, and I should cut it because this, and this happened. But this thing is still a winner. Let me go trade that instead, right? So on AVAX, bid gets filled, AVAX bounces 30% higher. On Ondo, I miss my bids, right? I miss my entry, and then I put out a educational thing and trade ideas, and I'm like, hey guys, plan A part 2, just so you know, relative strength. Big sell-offs like this is a catalyst that allows coins to step into a spotlight. We want to pay attention to what coins step into that spotlight. So Ondo, with the way it's shaped up, it's had a much nicer relief bounce than other coins in the market. It's sitting here trading, around these prices, whereas a lot of these coins are, retesting 4-hour 200s. That is what happened. So AVAX fills my bids, and then, or actually, I didn't get bids filled. I would be lying to you. This is nuances, but technically I actually bought the next test on AVAX because during the drop, we were actually midstream. So I go to bid 4-hour 200s on AVAX the next time, but I'm like, oh man, I wish Ondo would have filled, would pull back into 4-hour 200s, but it's so damn strong, right? As AVAX is pulling back into the high time frame trend and allowing me to re-enter comfortably at high time frame trend, Ondo is putting in a higher low. Guys, let's talk about, relative strength, spotlights. This is kind of a catalyst. It's a sell-off event. It allows for other coins to step into the spotlight. It's going to be very obvious, glaringly obvious, what coins we need to be bidding. So if Ondo reclaims this trend, that's a signal for me that that was the bottom, and we can see trend continuation into price discovery thereafter. Now, I'm not going to bullshit you. When I say trend continuation into price discovery, I'm not talking about a 30% move. I'm talking about infinity. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want to target, right? But hey, if we reclaim hourly 200s, we put in a higher high on Ondo, we see trend continuation into price discovery. That's what we got. That is exactly what happened. So then by the time that Ondo breaks back down hourly 200s, I have to take my profit. Whatever profit I haven't taken already, maybe I should take it now. Or if I'm not satisfied with the amount that I've already taken, or maybe I haven't taken any at all, maybe I should start to take some. Why? Because now Ondo threatens a pullback into 4-hour 200s, the same way that we said that this time, except this time around, it actually happens. We actually pull straight into the 4-hour 200s. You saw it coming. Hourly 200 MA's trend lost. That's the same thing that made you think that we would run it back turbo into price discovery in the first place. Oh, and now you had 2 tests. You've had 2 attempts or opportunities to bid a high time frame trend portrayal on Ondo. Oh, and then we've never had a reason to say, is my bid going to get front ran? Was that the bottom? Right? Because we never reclaimed that local trend on Ondo. We're still not above those hourly 200s, so there's not anything saying that the bottom is in just yet. But we can speculate, hey, if Ondo is ever going to use something as a high time frame trend, what might it use? Oh, maybe 4-hour 200s. So here, my bids get front ran. Right? Or I'm not able to bid because it doesn't pull back a second time into the same exact region or into the trend that I wanted it to, into my inflection point. So I have to adjust. I have to adapt. I have to go bid the reclaim of a local trend and then go from there and scale assumptions that way. And then that works. And then that working allows me luxuries. Hey, now that we're breaking down below hourly 200s, it might be time to cut my Ondo position. Maybe I am going to get a deeper pullback into 4-hour 200s this time. Do I want to capitulate entirely? Do I want to just take some profit and let the rest run? Do I want to do nothing at all and just bet that the 4-hour 200s will hold? Do you see how all of those options are luxuries? Every single one. Every single one is do I, not, oh my God, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? The market is forcing you into that position. No, the market's not forcing me to do anything. The market is triggering something that I told myself I would do, right? if this triggered. So it's time for me to do something. It's time for me to sit here and scratch my head. Did I take enough profit off on Ondo? Would I rather just capitulate this position? What should I do here? Opportunity compounds and creates more opportunity. You see how that works? Me cutting my Solana position allowed me to do that. That's how that worked. That's how it ended up working. But it wasn't, oh, I should cut my trade here and, preemptively and whatever. So in this case, AVAX pulls back into the region that we were thinking of. That then 30% relief bounce. Lower high. When I see that lower high, I'm like, ugh. Now we're losing hourly 200s. We're chopping them up. We're starting to form more of a local range here. If this local range breaks down, then we're going to see a pullback into 4-hour 200s, right? Because how do you get to here without breaking this first? So when this breaks down, do I want to take more profit on my AVAX position? Do I want to just leave it running and bet on 4-hour 200s? Do I want to close the position entirely and maybe open up a new one on 4-hour 200s? Which is what I ended up doing. And even though this didn't pay off for me, right? Obviously 4-hour 200s didn't hold. That's still a luxury. That was still graceful operation based off of how I wanted to trade whatever was in front of me. It didn't work. Yes, I lose just the same way that you do. Every trader loses. I went to go bid 4-hour 200s on AVAX and they broke down. I was betting on consolidation. I was betting on eventual breakout, right? Yeah, sure, this is a lower high, but this, seems like maybe the best place to block in a higher low. Oh, well, you're wrong, Mercury. Now it's a downtrend on that time frame. Oh, well, that sucks. So I gave back some profit on AVAX. Well, how did I have profit on AVAX to begin with? So, and then it just rinses and it repeats and the cycle, right? And you'll find yourself. It has to be conscious. It's not, let me sit here and ponder for the next 3 hours. Should I cut Solana and rotate that profit into Ondo? That's not how that needs to work. But if you're just being objective about the chart that's in front of you, you're going to cut when it's weak, right? That's the whole premise. You're going to cut when it's no longer showing strength, when it's no longer following through with what you thought it would do along the trend or along the levels or along the structure that you thought it would do that at. It's no longer doing that. So you're going to cut that position. And then that free capital then allows you the luxury of going and venturing off into other sectors of the market to go find other opportunities. And maybe you win there. Maybe you don't, but maybe you do. So I gave you 2 examples. One where it didn't work for me and one where it did. But it's still winning mindset. This is all graceful movement, right? That was a great question. What I want to get into is a little bit of ETH analysis. So you guys know the Bitcoin analysis, but I want to talk about ETH. So the reason why I want to talk about ETH is this is going to be a fun topic. Let's discuss this because I get this question a lot. And you just saw me put out this tweet just before the stream. It's talking about Solana compared to ETH as a proxy for the general altcoin market. If you don't know what I mean a proxy is like something that we relate back to. So something that we can relate back to that, has an inference for a greater thing. So in this case, whatever Ethereum's doing is going to be a proxy for what the general altcoin market is doing. That's why we care so much about Ethereum. That's why you hear me continue to talk about Ethereum BTC chart, even though it's been downtrending for 2 years. And for the good portion of those 2 years, we've been saying, hey, it looks like, smells like, and trades like a downtrend. It's a downtrend. Stop calling for outperformance. Stop calling that it's a laggard. It's not a laggard. It's just weaker, right? Even though that has been the argument for the past majority of 2 years. I can't say the whole 2 years. I have tried to call a bottom on Ethereum BTC once in the past 2 years. So majority of it, even though that's been the argument, we still talk about Ethereum. We still talk about ETH BTC, even though it's obviously much, 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 much weaker than something like Bitcoin. Why? Because whatever Ethereum is doing is going to dictate what the broader altcoin market is doing to a much wider degree, right? So your altcoin market, alt season, right? Hey, throw a blind dart, 99% degree, you're going to hit a bullseye. Very unfortunate, very unlucky if you hit off the board entirely, right? So That's why we still care about Ethereum. And the argument has been, the counter argument has been, Mercury, isn't Ethereum kind of like Yahoo and, Solana's like Google? Because, Solana has outperformed Ethereum for the past 2 years or so. So shouldn't we pertain general altcoin market strength to whatever Solana's doing instead of Ethereum? Because Ethereum has sucked, right? And here's where I combat your rebuttal. I say, hey, this is what Solana did. Where's our alt season? Wait, so I thought because, according to you, we should use Solana as the general proxy. That's going to be the king of altcoins. So if Solana is good, altcoins equals good, right? That's how that works. So where was my, 2023 into Q2 of 2024 alt season? What happened? How come the entire market didn't just suddenly rally and start ripping 300% plus in the span of a few short months? How come? Wait, why wasn't I able to throw blind darts? Why did Mercury have to spend so much time and effort telling me about relative strength? Because this is more of a PvP environment, right? And it wasn't PvE. It wasn't, hey, just throw a fucking blind dart. You don't need to understand relative strength. That's just going to be, trying to maximize the efficiency of your gains. You don't even need that, though. You can still do incredibly well by just throwing blind darts. How come? Where was that environment? Oh, exactly. We never got it. Just a few months ago, I had to listen to people say, this is the worst bull market ever. I hate crypto. Crypto failed as an industry. We deserve zero. Wait, hold on. Just in September, I had to listen to you guys say this. How is it that Solana's the proxy for the entire altcoin market, and Solana has been outperforming Bitcoin for the good portion of the past year or so, or year and a half, right? And yet, just in September, we're complaining that this market sucks because we haven't gotten an alt season. We haven't gotten everyone's a genius. It's been PvP. It's been spotty. If you haven't longed this coin, 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 or that coin, you've had a terrible time. Wait, how come? Because Solana doesn't do anything. Solana doesn't do anything for the broader altcoin market except Solana coins, right? If Solana's doing well, hey, maybe Popcat can come back to life. Maybe Flog can go on a rally. Maybe, Whiff, right? Maybe Jupiter starts to break out. Maybe JTO can finally start to show some life. Maybe Pyth can come back to life. Solana doesn't do anything. It's not a proxy for anything except Solana ecosystem coins. That's it. It doesn't imply anything for the greater market. You know what we have had very clear correlation for the past 2 years? ETH BTC has fucking sucked. Yeah, it has. It sucked. Nobody likes Ethereum right now. Oh, and also for the past 2 years, we can portray this by Bitcoin dominance, altcoins have sucked. There's your correlation. It's a one-to-one correlation. It tends to be inversely correlated. Kobe came in the other day and said on Twitter, he said something along the lines of, Bitcoin dominance is really just inverse Ethereum chart. That's it. And it is. It's just inverse whatever the fuck Ethereum is doing. Just flip it on its head. It's kind of the same thing. And we go look at Ethereum BTC, and we flip it back. Yep. More or less, kind of the same thing. Just the same thing. That's the proxy. That's why we care about Ethereum. So this is why I will continue to care about Ethereum, because Ethereum is going to give us that insight from a foundational standpoint. What is happening on the greater altcoin market? And here's where I just throw everything that I just said into the fucking garbage can and I become a hypocrite. You still need to trade the individual chart in front of you. Regardless of what the greater market looks like on a broad scale, you still need to trade the chart that's in front of you. You still need to be objective. I don't care if Ethereum BTC looks like this and your altcoin is still looking like this somehow, some way, or even worse, it looks like this. You don't trade those. You stay the fuck away from them. Just because the broader altcoin market is now more favorable does not mean that those coins are one day going to come back to life. What it means is the market is more favorable, and yet still somehow those coins suck. Stay away from them. So you still need to trade the objective charts in front of you, right? The ETH BTC, in terms of a general foundation from a more broader outlook, what ETH BTC, because ETH is the proxy for the general altcoin market, what that's implying is that altcoins suck. Don't pay attention to altcoins. Nobody fucking cares. Just trade Bitcoin, right? That's what the ETH BTC's chart is telling us on a long-term scale, because that's the trend, right? And that's the proxy. That's what's telling us what's happening on the greater altcoin market. And yet when I tell you at some point in the past 2 years, hey, don't trade altcoins. Altcoins suck. You're going to have a terrible time. Just trade Bitcoin instead. You then want to rebuttal that with, wait, but Mercury, what about Solana? Wait, what about WIF? Wait, what about INJ? Wait, what about FET? What about Phantom? What about Cardano? What about RNDR? What about... Ah, you're getting it. You're starting to understand. Just because it's a general foundation, it's a broad outlook, doesn't mean it's going to apply for your specific coin. If you find that diamond in the rough as the general broad environment is saying, hey, there are no diamonds, right? And you manage to find that diamond in the rough, hold on to that fucking diamond, because it's a diamond. Because even as 95% of the altcoin market has a terrible fucking time against Bitcoin, so much so that just in September I had to listen to people say, oh, this is the worst bull market ever. We never got easy mode, right? When we get that, your altcoins will have still outperformed against the wave, against the crowd. They're detaching. They're showing themselves, or they're showing the broader market why they should gravitate away from the crowds and losers and into Solana, INJ, RNDR, FET, Phantom, WIF, this, that, the other, right? The 12 to 24 coins that have gone on crazy rallies. Pepe, Bonk, Doge, this, that, the other. Maybe we should hold on to those. So it works inversely too. Just because the market environment becomes more favorable, don't think, oh, well, I missed the entire rally, so maybe I'll just go buy this coin that's downtrending, and because the entire market looks great, this coin will eventually start to pick up life too. No. Flip it around on its head. The environment is now favorable across the board, generally speaking, and yet your coin still has not done fuck all. Don't pay attention to it. Nobody cares, right? So hopefully that is very straightforward in terms of why we still care about Ethereum. Now let's go talk about Ethereum. So truthfully, honestly, I don't trade the ETH BTC chart. I trade the ETH USD chart, and at this point, I have enough experience to be able to determine what is relative strength just at first glance comparing USD charts. I don't necessarily need to go put on my training wheels and go say, am I right? And go compare it to the actual BTC chart. Even though that's a fair thought. If you ever need to know, if you ever need to validate what you're seeing or what your thoughts are, hey, this is looking more relatively stronger just in the way that it's shaped up, just in the context, right? Then we can go validate that by actually looking at that ticker compared to BTC, right? So I don't need to do that. I'm just going to trade the USD chart. The way that the USD chart is shaped up for Ethereum is there's a local trend and there's a high time frame trend. And there's also an inflection point across the board for all of them as we currently speak. So the local trend for Ethereum, I'm going to say hourly 200 moving averages, right? Seems pretty straightforward, clear cut. I think everyone can comprehend why I want to use this trend as a local portrayal. So just take note that the local trend is currently, as we speak, this is not going to stay this way forever. If Ethereum continues to do this, then this local trend is still going to creep up, right? So it's still going to, creep down. It's still going to find its way to adapt with price. So as it stands, though, that is confluent with this region as an inflection point. My puppy is now looking at the blinds. It just caught me off guard. That's what I can be caught off guard by, my puppy, not the market. So this is the inflection point, right? We have range lows, we have local trend. Then we tie in something like a historically relevant high time frame trend, which is also the same trend that we used to justify this as an inflection point for the upside, right? So we were saying, hey, if there's ever a region to find a higher low on the weekly, a higher low on the daily, higher than this low, 4-hour 200s with range lows, that's the place to do it at. What was our analysis after the fact? When we tie in, hey, what happens if we don't hold this region? If we invalidate that, what do we think happens next? We scale it, right? Snowball leads to bigger snowball leads to body of a snowman. So all of a sudden now we're showing excess weakness. And then from there, we can scale the assumption to say, hey, if we lose that inflection point, then that means that we have every reason to go into 200 daily moving averages, our weekly trend per trail, right? This has helped us understand what's happening on more of a even higher time frame, so the weekly structure now. And we can start to look for that region to act as an inflection point on an even greater time frame. So losing this region makes me think that we'll get to this region. I don't think anybody in here is going to say, oh, well, Mercury, you're an idiot because you said that we would get to 3,000, right, where the 200 dailies are, and we actually got 2% away, right? We got to only 3,100. I think we can give ourselves the grace here to say, okay, that analysis pretty much worked out, right? It happened exactly the way we thought it would. We were able to scale the assumption to a greater degree. That was our inflection point, right? So now moving forward, continuing off of the historical relevancy and how we've used this most recently, 4-hour 200s are also in this region. That's now a major inflection point for the market. Meaning, if Ethereum can reclaim this inflection point, that might be incredibly substantial. That might be something that we really need to take note of, because that would be excessive relative strength, especially if, when we go look as that's happening, this is just me planting a seed, right? I don't know what's going to happen any more than you do, but I'm planting a seed in your brain. Somehow, some way, if we see Ethereum reclaim high time frame trends, deviate back inside of we can say 1 month long range, right? You don't even really realize it. This is a month long of sideways price action. If we see Ethereum reclaim high time frame trend, deviate back inside of a high time frame range, a month long range, and reclaim local trends, and then we go look at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is still below those 4-hour 200s, it's still trading at range highs, it's still, right? That's excessive relative strength now. And then when we go look at that Ethereum BTC chart, it would most likely be vindicating that idea, right? That would be relative strength in terms of the context. So this is showing up to a very, 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 very slight degree. I'm talking the slightest, tiniest degree. I'm going to say something and you're going to be like, what? What? Seriously? Let's account for a very low time frame structure, right? So moving averages, yeah, sure, whatever. That obviously doesn't help me get my point across, but just take a mental image of what does this price action look like? And you can see that this is at least starting to cater towards the top right corner, right? It hasn't reclaimed that 15-minute 200 amaze yet, so it's not even the slightest degree of strength. But at least it's testing those moving averages, right? At least it's testing a more parabolic, very low time frame trend per trail and teasing at the thought of a breakout. At least it managed to put in a higher high. At least it's managing to hold some kind of a higher low. Bitcoin ain't doing any of that. Bitcoin's just saying, oh, the downtrend that is a downtrend, yeah, I'm going to keep downtrending now. It's relative strength. It's just that it's peanuts of relative strength, right? We don't really care that much. It's not the, oh my God, this is alt season. Oh my God, the Ethereum BTC bottom is in. No. But how do we get there? How do we get to the point where all of a sudden 4-hour 200s are being reclaimed? We've now deviated back inside of a month-long range. We've reclaimed local trends. We put in a higher high in the daily. And meanwhile, Bitcoin is still trading somewhere in this region. Right? How do we get to that point? Well, it started somewhere, right? So this isn't even a snowball in terms of relative strength. It's not even the tiniest of arguments. It's more like a clump of snow, right? It's a clump of snow, and all it takes, whoops, this is what I meant to do. All it takes is to you take your other hand, and compact it down, and all of a sudden you have a snowball. That's it. And then we can say, hey, Ethereum is at least above a very low time frame trend portrayal. Bitcoin is not. So that is at least some kind of a discrepancy there. At least something. It's just the tiniest little nuance, right? It's not even, oh my God, this is so crazy bullish, this is alt season. But if all of a sudden that little tiny snowball compounds, right? And meanwhile, Bitcoin still looks like this. And this little tiny relative strength has now compounded into something greater. That might be incredibly significant. And so it will have had to start from somewhere. Why am I talking about this? Why do we care so damn much about the tiniest little, it's not even, you didn't even call it a snowball, Mercury. You called it a clump of fucking snow. It's not even a snowball yet. It hasn't even come into fruition to become significant to even the slightest degree yet. Why do we care about it? It's very often that we see crazy rallies on Ethereum after Bitcoin has already locked in some kind of a prominent top. Let's go back and discuss this. It's going to take me a second to set this up, but you'll get the point. So we can go all the way to this rally back here. Notice how Bitcoin locks in a major top for the entire market cycle, right? In this case, or in that context. So unfortunately, what this does mean is that if I'm right, if we do start to see some relative strength on Ethereum, then it might be over for a while. It might be, you know, indicative of a more permanent, I don't want to say, again, I don't want to scare anybody out and say, oh my God, we're going to enter a bear market. But when this does happen, if it happens here, it's probably indicative of, hey, we are going to see some lower prices for quite some time, right? So BTC rallies, notice where Ethereum is, right? The crosshair all the way over here. As Bitcoin is topped out, Ethereum also puts in this, you know, upwards candle, whatever. It's going to follow hand in hand. It's going to underperform pretty drastically. But, you know, it's just going to follow along. And then Bitcoin starts to sell off and lose key trends and break down below key levels. And, oh, wait, that's not good. And so Ethereum's like, yeah, you're right. That isn't good. Let me put in a wick that looks really ugly. Let me also break down the same way that Bitcoin's breaking down. And then as Bitcoin shows even more prominent weakness, Ethereum says, yeah, fuck you though. Why would I want to follow what you're doing? And I know that doesn't look like much, but it's an additional 100% movement. Oh, and because Ethereum is the proxy for the general altcoin market, what happens if Ethereum is ripping 100% as Bitcoin is sitting on its thumbs or downtrending or stalling sideways, right? As that's happening, what do you think happens for some random altcoin, right? Let's say XRP. Oh, by the way, this is where I entered the market, right? This is where I entered the market in 2017. I bought XRP after it had already rallied like 20x at 70 cents. Yeah, it went to $3.50, right? It did another 4x in the same time span that Ethereum did 100%. XRP did 400%, right? So again, let's go follow through with the same kind of way of thinking, right? It doesn't happen with every single high, right? It's not to say that this is always going to happen every time that Bitcoin locks in a top. That's not the point here. But we often see substantial outperformance after Bitcoin has already locked in a top. So it's not every time. It's not every time that Bitcoin tops. Oh my God, we can start calling for Ethereum outperformance now. You have not heard me say this at any point the past 2 years. I'm sorry. I take that back. You've heard me say it once. And then I said, oh, I was wrong. Ethereum BTC probably continues to go lower. And then it went lower, right? And we continue respecting trends from there. So I have to be honest here. I have to be transparent, right? I did call for outperformance once. I was wrong. And then I acknowledged that I was wrong. And then I continued to be correct because I acknowledged that I was wrong, right? The trend continued trending. So you haven't really heard me call for this at any point the past 2 years. So maybe now that we're actually starting to see, this dynamic come into fruition, maybe the very tiniest, maybe it leads to something greater. That's the point here. We also see the same dynamic occur somewhere around here, where BTC puts in a high around January 4th, and notice where Ethereum is at around that same time span. And as BTC pulls back, BTC is pulling back into something like 4-hour 200s. It even chops them up. You can't visualize what they look like. They look something along, oh, that's going to look terrible because this is a weekly chart. They look something along these lines, right? So BTC is chopping up the 4-hour 200s. It's like, oh, that's not great. That's not strength for sure, right? Maybe we view reverse, but I don't know. That seems kind of more hopeful than anything. This is a lower low, lower high on the daily structure, blah, blah, blah. Ethereum in the same time frame, 75% of outperformance, right? From there, they both rally together. And then after Bitcoin has already topped out, after Bitcoin tops out, breaks 4-hour 200s, puts in a lower low on the daily, starts to threaten losing key levels, right? So that is, we'll mark it. That is right here. Ethereum then decides to go on 100% rally. We often see this. You're looking at me right now thinking, Mercury, how the fuck does this make sense? How could it possibly be that as Bitcoin has already topped out and starts to threaten greater weakness and loses key trends on a much longer time frame and a much higher time frame to a more pronounced degree than it has before, how does it make sense that Ethereum then starts to take over as Bitcoin does nothing? As Bitcoin is showing weakness, Ethereum starts to show strength. How does that make sense? Exactly. The fact that it maybe doesn't make a lot of sense is exactly why it happens, right? Can we think about markets in that way now? It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's all of a sudden, oh, hey, you had your fun? I'm going to have mine now. Well, where the fuck were you having your fun, right? How come you weren't just ripping alongside me, Ethereum? Why not? Why did you wait until after I settled down? I don't know, because I felt like it. I wanted to be the star. And really, the actual kind of thesis here would be, think of assets as kind of vehicles for momentum. And so if one of them come to a stoplight, then inherently we're all, you and I, and institutions and whales and the other people, right, are all going to then say, okay, what else can we go trade now? Now that this is broken down, now that this is twiddling its thumbs, now that this isn't doing anything significant, it's no longer showing strength, it's no longer doing this, it's no longer doing that, where can I go bid somewhere else that it will do that? And then what's the next most obvious answer? Number 2, right? Hey, I was trading number 1, right? Bitcoin, the king, numero uno. It was doing really good. And then it stopped doing good. Where am I going to go next? Maybe number 2. Perhaps, right? I don't know. Maybe. So if that happens, you got to be prepared for it. Because instinctively, what we think about is, how the fuck does that make any sense? Why would I care about that Ethereum showing strength? Bitcoin's still below 4-hour 200s. Bitcoin's breaking the daily market structure. Bitcoin just made a lower low on the daily. Why would I care that Ethereum's starting to show strength here? How does that make sense? You need to make it make sense in your head. Because if it happens, that is your alt season, whether you realize it or not, because Ethereum is the greatest proxy for the general altcoin market. So as Ethereum goes 100% higher here, Ethereum Classic, which is not a great example, by the way, not a great example at all, and yet even then, it is a fucking beautiful example, right? As Ethereum... as Bitcoin tops out, Ethereum goes on a 100% rally, the same weekly candlestick right? Oh, that's not fair, Mercury. I don't want to use that as a proxy. I don't want to say that that's where the rally starts. Okay, we'll go from the top of the red candle, 400% move. As Ethereum goes 100% higher, as Bitcoin twiddles its thumbs and locks in a more prominent top. Notice how I didn't say cycle top. This is a cycle top. This was just a more prominent top. And then as Bitcoin does this, Ethereum goes 80% higher. And then it starts to stall out and wait for Bitcoin. And then eventually Bitcoin starts to make higher highs again, reverses trend, breaks out of key levels, blah, 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 whatever. And they rally together. And then Bitcoin tops, right? And Bitcoin starts to outperform. And then it tops. And then all of a sudden, after Bitcoin is topped, loses 4-hour 200s, breaks key trends, breaks daily market structure bearishly. Oh, looky, Ethereum is now ready and willing to go on a 100% rally. What do you think that means for the altcoins in that same exact time frame? They're higher beta to Ethereum, right? They're going to pull even more substantial moves. That's your alt season. That's where it comes into fruition. We are potentially going to see that. Why? Because Bitcoin locked in a more prominent top. Doesn't happen every time, but when it happens, it has to happen, right? It's always happened after Bitcoin is locked in the top. That's not to say, oh, well, Mercury, this is a more prominent top on Bitcoin. Where's my alt season? No, that's not how it works. You're confusing me now. It's not every time that Bitcoin tops. You haven't heard me talk about this here. You didn't hear me talk about this here. You didn't hear me talk about this here. You didn't. It wasn't really all that relevant with the way that the context was shaped up. It wasn't. Now it is. Now it's Bitcoin has made a top in price discovery, right? Maybe that's the caveat. This is a top that was made. Obviously, this didn't exist yet. So this was our new all-time high. So in price discovery, Bitcoin locks in a top, loses key trends, breaks daily structure for the first time in a long time, and all of a sudden Ethereum rallies 100%. And then the next time, that's obviously now the new all-time high, and it happens then too. So I don't even know if it actually happens this time. I don't think it does. But it's the premise, right? If it were going to happen, this is probably how it would shape up. So it's hard to adhere to this, and especially because it's such a blown out of proportion assumption, right? It's so crazy to have to think about, especially if you're new to markets and you don't understand concept of relative strength, or maybe you do understand it because it's quite simple, but it's hard to adhere to. It's hard to grasp why relative strength is prominent and why it's a winning concept that we want to adhere to. It's hard to grasp that, right? It's a million times harder to grasp that if you weren't prepared for it mentally, and then you have to start to adapt to it and take advantage of it in real time as it's happening, right? As Ethereum is already up 20% from the lows or whatever the fuck, as it's breaking out of 4K range high, as it's doing that, as the volatility, as the altcoins have already come off of their very high time frame trend retests, right? We've talked about a million of them. As that's already happening, they've bounced 40%. Then you have to start to bend your mind to start to see what the dynamic is between, Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoin market. It's tough to do that in real time. We're just going to throw you in the middle of the fire and just say, hey, figure it out. We want to be mentally prepared for it. Just because of the slightest possibility that it might happen. Yes, this is me poking your brain, planting a seed based off of a clump of fucking snow, dude. It hasn't materialized into anything significant yet. It's not even a snowball. It's not even, hey, Ethereum is above 15-minute 200s, whereas Bitcoin's making a lower low. It's not even that yet. And yet I'm planting that seed. Why? Because that's what you spent 100% of your time waiting for in crypto. Whether you realize it or not, that is why you joined this industry. You joined for the 10x, 20x, 50x, 100x. You're not going to get that on Bitcoin. I hate to break it to you. Bitcoin's not going to $1 million this cycle or at any time in 2025. It's not going to happen. It's highly unlikely, right? You're here for the altcoin gains. You're here for the 10x, 20x, 50x, 100x move. Well, whether you realize it or not, you're here for altcoins. You've spent 100% of your time, every single stream that you've watched, every daily market update that you read, all the time cumulatively that you've spent scrolling through crypto Twitter, you've spent it for that environment specifically. That one. If it has even a 0.1% chance of happening in my mind, I'm going to talk about it. I would deem it greater than 0.1% chance if we're being fair, right? It's something that if it materializes to a greater degree, I would hope that you'll see it coming. And you'll know what to think about next. And you'll know how to relate that and pertain it back to the greater market environment and apply this general market dynamic of how crypto tends to operate. And you'll be ready. And you'll be able to think bigger. You'll be able to hold trades longer. And you'll be able to make more profit as a result for whatever happens after. That's the idea. That's why I've spent the past 45 minutes rambling about this. Even though the difference is Ethereum is up 2% today, whereas Bitcoin is down negative 2%. That's not what I'm fucking talking about, dude. You're missing the picture. You're looking at the tree and missing the forest, right? So, if it becomes something later down the line, not only will we have to see it coming, we would have to break out of 15-minute 200s, we would have to reclaim local trend, we would have to deviate back inside of that range, we would have to reclaim 4-hour 200 moving averages, we would have to put in a higher high in the daily. Those are all things that we need to still do that we have not yet done. If those things happen, not only will you have seen it coming because the laddering of how that sequence occurs, but also you'll know what to think about next. You'll know how to scale it to the greater, bigger picture. That's the point. By the way, whether this happens this time or a year from now, I'm going to give you the same rant. I'm going to give you the same spiel because it's the same market dynamics at hand. It's the same concept. It's the same philosophy. It's the same, oh, this stopped moving? Oh, well, I really liked it better when everything was going up and my gains were just increasing by the hour. Where else can I go where I can go see that same exact experience? That's never going away. That's never going to go away. There are always going to be rotations. So, whether it plays out this time or a year from now, you're going to hear the same rant. Same one. That's why. So with that, does anybody have any questions for me? Baba says, hey Merc, thanks for the stream. I recently made a trade on Sol at daily trend with entry 178, stop loss at 153, target new all-time highs. Can you judge if it's a good trade based on RR basis and where the stop loss and target are placed? Okay, let's do that. First, let's go back to just the one. And let's go look at Sol. So if you're playing Solana here, you're playing a weekly time frame. You are playing a very high time frame trend, which there's nothing wrong with that. Do not get me wrong. But just know what you're playing, right? So my argument would be the bullish retest of a massive range high, of an 8-month-long range high. I cannot honestly, truly look at you and say, this is a breakdown. I can't say that. Because in my head, this is still close enough for my discretion to want to call this whatever it is by default. So by default, as we're coming into this level, I'm going to call it a bullish retest, right? Bullish retest, a pullback. So once it starts to look like a breakdown, then I have to call it a breakdown. Obviously, nobody wants to say, oh, let me just wait for a weekly candle close back inside the range, and then I'll call this a breakdown. And then the weekly candle closes right here, right? And you're like, oh, well, obviously it's a breakdown now. And then you're selling the range lows as we're, right? Nobody wants to do that. So we want a more actionable analysis. We want a more actionable way of taking this very large, broad thought and then pinpointing it, making it a little bit more precise, right? So then we want to say, okay, is there a trend that Solana has respected, maybe on the way into this rally, or maybe historically, that we can use to judge, is this still a bullish retest, or is it now a breakdown? And I go to the 200 dailies. It's not the most beautiful thing in the world if we're judging based off of recent price action, but historically, these 200 dailies are pretty damn good. So good enough for me, right? Again, I'm not trying to be a genius here. I'm not trying to be a Pico bottom caller. I'm trying to give myself a more actionable understanding of what the hell is happening. So at least now I can say, hey, if this breaks down, then I'm probably wrong, right? If we lose the 200 dailies and then we can combine that with the other portions of our system, hey, if we lose this market structure and we're losing 200 dailies, and on this time frame I go look at that price action and we've deviated back inside of this range, yeah, I can't really call this a bullish retest on the weekly chart anymore. It kind of seems more like it's more likely to be a breakdown, right? So that's my analysis for you, Baba. And now it's just a matter of how would we execute off of that analysis. So executing off of that analysis would just mean that this would be the entry point. And so truthfully, honestly, this would be my entry point because I'm never trying to be a Pico bottom caller, right? So I'm not going to put my, personally, this is how I operate. I'm not going to put my entry at the top of the MA. I'm not going to put it at the bottom. I'm just going to put it somewhere in this general region, right? Again, not trying to be super precise. I just want general understanding of what am I trying to execute off of and how am I going to execute. So then my stop loss is going to be somewhere around the previous market structure low. There's nothing wrong with this. Notice that we're playing a weekly time frame and our stop loss is 10%. Honestly, truthfully, that is not bad. That's not bad at all. So that's good enough for me. I could have a technical stop loss, hide my stop below previous structure, and target continuation. It's continuation into price discovery. Because if we do manage to show strength from here, then I'm imagining that that is strength that allows the trend to continue on all time frames, right? And I'm playing into the weekly scale. I'm playing into the last remaining bullish argument on the highest of time frames and betting that we are going to reverse all the other trends, right? So we're going to reclaim those hourly 200s. That's then going to allow for us to reclaim the 4-hour 200s. That's then going to allow for us to put in higher highs and higher lows in the daily. That's then going to allow us to go for whatever the most recent high is because we're looking to play into this kind of a trend, right? So, and that's new all-time highs. So if I'm trading into new all-time highs, really, I'm trading into price discovery. I'm trading into infinity. And that's how my trade would be shaped up. So you took the same kind of gist on this position, and I think you nailed it. I think your application, your interpretation is spot on. I wouldn't dictate what happens here and use that as, am I winning, am I losing? If you take trades like this, you're going to do well long term. That's how I see it. If you take trades based off of this same concept, hey, it's a pullback, we have confluence in trend, we have this, we have that, blah, 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 I can position on a much higher time frame outlook. Obviously, I have the ability to understand that I'm counter trading the trend on this time frame, right? I know that, but I'm playing into a higher time frame. So I don't need to care about that so much. My bet is inherently going to be that we're going to reverse. The highest time frame is going to trump all the other time frames and get everything back in tandem, right? Bullish trending again. So there's nothing wrong with that. For every trade where you can find that this deviates and doesn't work, I can find you a trade where it does. And if we're trading asymmetric risk reward, every time that it works, it gives you 13R into price discovery, new all-time highs. But every time that it doesn't, it loses 1R. You are massively profitable as a trader, even with a 50% win rate. So this is why I say, if you take trades like this, I think you'll do well long term. I really do. So, nice job. Rishi says, but Merc, many new shiny alts started running right from December 2020, like Luna, BNB, Theta, Dot, Uni. So basically, I decided to find the coins which are near all-time highs or in price discovery. Is my logic correct? New shiny alts equals no unlocks plus no overhead supply / resistance. Even in stocks, as far as I've studied, new IPOs and new stocks perform better than old cycle stocks. Basically higher probability. I put out an entire thread on Twitter that trumps your entire ideology. You love to hear this, right? It's a mantra that gets thrown around like, dude, like no other. Hey, don't trade the old coins, just trade the new coins. Okay, I'll go trade the new coins. Right? Let me go apply that logic. I'll go trade the old coins. Or I'm sorry, screw the old coins. Let me go trade the new coins. Oh. Well, that sucks. What is the other ones? Where are they? Well, Luna was a newer coin, so that doesn't help you. That doesn't help your case. Give me some, what are some new coins that went to absolute fucking zero? And here's the thing. I'm struggling to get my point across, Rishi, because I don't care about the new coins because they went to zero. I don't know what the tickers are because my brain forgot about them on purpose, right? ICP is the only one that immediately came to mind for whatever reason, because during this entire downtrend, I don't know why, but throughout this entire downtrend, everyone's, Mercury, can you give me analysis on ICP? Can you tell me what ICP is doing? Hey Mercury, do you think Internet Computer is the next generational bullish coin to overthrow Ethereum? I don't know why. So that coin sticks out to me, but it's survivor bias. It's survivorship bias. It's, hey, I traded Solana and AVAX in the last bull market, and they were newer coins, and they pulled, right, 100x move. So trade new coins, screw all the old coins. What? Okay, let me go apply your advice. If you applied that advice to basically anything that IPO'd on FTX, which was a wide majority of the new coins in the market, they literally all went to fucking zero. Every single one. Every single chart looks exactly like this. Oh, I can think of one actually. Notice how they got delisted. It's not even on fucking exchanges anymore. Gate is the only one that still has it. Because that's what it looks like. Oh, but it was a new coin though. Wait, I thought I was supposed to trade all the new coins, guys. What happened? Don't trade the old coins. Stay away from the old coins. Fuck the old coins. Go trade the new coins. Okay, well, if I listen to your logic, then I missed this entire rally on Cardano. Wait, that's a 42x on Cardano. Wait, hold on. Why was I not supposed to trade Cardano? Because it was old? Wait, hold on. Wait a second. Cardano was top 10 market cap for all of this price action, right? All of it. It remained in the top 10 in terms of market cap. And then it remained in the top 10 still. And it was an old coin. It's existed since like 2017. And yet it pulled a 42x. So how does that work? Here's the reality. Nothing that you tell me in trading, or nothing that I tell you in trading, can ever get applied to 100% degree. Not true. It's impossible. You can't make blanket statements that cover the entirety of the market. You just can't. There are general philosophies. There are things that have more favorable outcomes. Here's the way that I think about old coins and new coins, because we can play this game back and forth as long as you want. We could be here for the next 3 days. Every time that you give me a new coin that performed well, I can give you 2 more that didn't, right? That went to fucking zero. And every time you give me an old coin that performed terribly, I can give you an old coin that performed well. Right? Oh, XRP, yeah, stay away from the old coins. XRP only did 500% the last bull market, which honestly, fair, because only 500% in the last bull market, not anything great. You couldn't even outperform Bitcoin. You fucking suck. Sorry. Bitcoin itself went from 3 to 60. That's a 20x movement. If you can only give me a 5x, you suck, I'm not trading you. Right? So in this case, don't trade altcoins. That actually agrees with you. But wait, I thought I wasn't supposed to trade old coins. How come Cardano doubled the outperformance of crypto? Actually, tripled the outperformance of Bitcoin. The 42x is not fair. It actually did way more than that. Did more like 70x. Right? So it's not a blanket statement that can get applied across the board 100% degree. Where for every new coin that you show me that performed well, i.e. Solana, I can show you 5 more, honestly, that didn't. For every time you show me a coin like XRP, which underperformed, I can show you another coin like Cardano that outperformed. There's not any actual basis, there's not any actual value in the statement, trade new coins, forget old coins. There's not. There's nothing really to say that that is the quantifiable data, that's the mantra that we need to adhere to. It's more so, in my humble opinion, people that survived, right? That did well and traded Solana and bought AVAX and bought, whatever the fuck else that came up in the last bull market. They did well, so they're still here. So they're going to obviously argue whatever their experience was. I bought the newest coin, you should too. How come people that bought ICP and bought Oxygen aren't telling us to buy new coins? Because they're not fucking here anymore. Because they lost everything. It went to zero. Why would they still be here? They hate crypto. They're traumatized. They don't ever want to touch crypto again. That's why. So the way that I actually think about it is, if you buy a new coin, you're being more speculative. You could argue this, right? Now, this isn't necessarily true, but this is how I kind of generally think about it in a broad way. If you're buying a newer coin, you're speculating. You don't know what the fuck Solana does. Is it actually going to be a gem, or is it just going to be like the other 90% of new coins that come out and immediately start trending towards zero? I don't know. But if that bet pays off, it's going to be incredibly asymmetrically skewed in your favor. Because not only will you be correct in that bet, but oftentimes you're then correct because the ecosystem itself starts to thrive. All of a sudden, now Solana meme coins are doing well, and Solana NFTs are doing well. And this hype pops up, and this hype pops up, and this. And then other betas start to pop up and start to compare themselves to Solana. And then those coins start to do well just because they're trying to copycat whatever the fuck Solana is trying to attempt, right? So if you're correct, then you're potentially, going to be very much in profit, very heavily rewarded for your correct bet. But by betting on the newer coin, we can honestly say, how many coins out there exist in the market? How many altcoins exist? I mean, at this point, with the whole meme coin craze, we can say hundreds of thousands, if not millions. How many tickers do you know? Do you know hundreds of thousands or millions of tickers? No, you don't. Why? Because all the others are trading at zero. So from a probability standpoint, maybe that coin is likely to go to zero because that's what most coins do. They don't accomplish anything. They don't get your favorite crypto Twitter influencer to start talking about them. They don't capture any kind of mind share or attention. They don't accomplish anything substantial. They just go to zero. And then we can reverse it, right? If I'm going to go trade Cardano, well, that's a horse that has already won. It has been in the top 10 market cap since 2017. Go look today. It's still, I think, either top 10 or top 20. It's still lingering somewhere in that region. It has continued to win. I don't know, for whatever reason, because I'm part of this group, everyone that's been in crypto for a long time fucking hates Cardano and considers Cardano a cult. Well, I kind of do too, but I'm still going to trade it because it continues to perform well. So if I see a setup on Cardano, I'm going to take it. Right? And truthfully, price action is quite clean. So I'm betting on the horse that has already ran. But maybe by betting on Cardano as opposed to betting on Solana, I am handicapping my gains to some extent. Even though Cardano runs 70x in the previous bull market, its ecosystem did not thrive. It wasn't a beta play to other beta plays within its ecosystem, and I didn't thrive as much, right? So whereas Solana goes up 200x in the last bull market, from $1 to $220 something, right? And then also in addition to that, the NFTs run, and also in addition to that, the ecosystem runs. Anything that had a Solana affiliate ship, right? Hey, we're a Solana meme coin. Well, cool. You have Solana in your name, you're going to run too. Congratulations, right? It wasn't as great of a gain because I didn't venture off to take that additional risk. I just stuck with what I already knew. I played the horse that had already ran, right? So, and this is a concept that we talk about quite frequently, where perceived probabilities are higher. It typically means that risk reward is lower, right? the amount of reward that you're going to get is lower to account for the fact that you have a higher probability to actually be correct, to see some kind of a meaningful gain if you're betting on Cardano in the last bull market, right? So that's how I think about it. But it's never, ever, ever always do this, always don't do that, right? It's never that. That is just complete and total bias. All right, so I'm going to make a dictatorship judgment here. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. So I don't want to keep it too long. I'm sure maybe you guys have some questions. If you do, you can always tag me in chat. I'll get to you as long as it's not super lengthy and, you know, I feel like typing all that out. I will get to you. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Let us have an easier 2.5 hour stream as opposed to 3.5 heading into the holidays. So hopefully not taking up too much of your guys' time. And yeah, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning into the stream. Merry Christmas or happy holidays to all of you that are celebrating. And I will not see you on Wednesday. We won't be streaming, so I will see you on Friday. Much love. Take it easy. Try and enjoy this time with your family and friends, or even by yourself, and take a little reset and take a bit of a break. And I will talk to you again on Friday. In the meantime, if you ever need anything, you can always tag me in chat. You can always shoot me a DM. I'm always here. I'm always lurking. I'm always paying attention. So much love. Talk to you again on Friday. Peace and take it easy.